To being a man of God, he is a man of the world, a man of science, and a brilliant amateur detective. And now, the three tools of death. Facing the afterglow of a beautiful summer sunset, Father Brown sits alone in the study of his modest parish house. He is half dozing when Nora, his housekeeper, enters.
Father Brown. Father Brown.
No. Yes, Nora? What time is it?
Time for your tea. Here it is, nice and hot.
Ah, thank you. Just set it there, please.
Were you asleep?
Oh, I was in between, Nora, just in between. A beautiful state of being, I assure you. Half out of this world and half in.
It's a good thing young Father Peter took over your duties for today. I told him... There's somebody at the door. Don't worry, I'll take care of that.
No.
Oh, good evening, Nora. Is Father Brown in?
I'm sorry, Flambeau, but he's rested.
No, Nora. You know Flambeau's always welcome. Tell him to come in.
Oh, all right.
Come in, Flambeau. Have a cup of tea.
No, thanks, Father. I'm all upset. A friend of mine is in trouble.
Oh.
Will you come with me to Oakville? My car's outside.
Here. No, not so fast. Get your breath. Sit down.
Father, you've heard of Aaron Armstrong, the philanthropist and lecturer?
Oh, Armstrong. The author of those bestsellers on how to be happy, etc. Had that such a tremendous following?
Yes, Father, that's the one.
Oh, yes. I've read his books. And I attended one of his lectures once in which he offered his followers an easy road to happiness, or heaven, as he called it.
That's the guy, Father.
Yes. As I remember, he apparently based his teachings on one of the Proverbs of Solomon. A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones.
Uh-huh.
Yes. He believed in giving up all the physical appetites, smoking, overeating, and drinking. Yes, and above all, he believed in being cheerful. He dealt with the drink problem with an enormous gaiety.
Well, he's dead.
What?
His body was discovered early this morning.
Well, you don't say. Where?
Right near his house, in a ditch on the parkway.
What happened?
Nobody knows. But according to the police, it looks like murder.
Did you say his house is close to the parkway?
Yes, on an embankment just above it.
Well, what makes the police think it wasn't an accident, Flambeau?
Well, he was wearing only his dressing gown. And another strange thing, Father. A small piece of rope was tied around one of his ankles.
Was any weapon found?
No, but it was apparent he'd been struck on the head by a huge instrument of some sort. Cuts and bruises on his body showed signs of a struggle.
Well, who put you on the case?
Oh, no one. The dead man's secretary, Robert Royce, is an old friend of mine. I called him as soon as I heard the news and offered him my services as private investigator. But he refused to see me.
Well, that's strange. No, yet no. Not so strange if he were implicated. Who else is there beside Royce in the household?
Just Armstrong's daughter. A very attractive girl, I hear, but completely dominated by her father's cheerfulness.
Uh-huh.
And there's also a gardener, I believe.
And your friend Royce, what sort of man is he?
Oh, he's a huge, genial sort of fellow. A Scotsman.
Did he and Armstrong get along well together?
Well, Royce was devoted to him.
Ah, yes. Armstrong had many devoted followers. You know, he's always interested me, Flambeau. It puzzled me, in fact.
Puzzled you?
Yes. When first I heard him lecture, I remember thinking that he had a troublesome road ahead. I believe that somewhere in his life, you'll find the secret of his death.
But, Father, according to the papers, he lived as he preached.
Oh, yes, I know, Flambeau. The old fellow's optimism was phenomenal. But somehow I don't believe he found that easy road to heaven, as he called it.
No?
No. Neither have I. There is no shortcut to heaven, my friend.
But who would want to kill such a man?
Well, if ever I murdered somebody, I dare say it might well be an optimist of the proportions of old Armstrong. His optimism was so out of proportion.
I've heard cheerfulness referred to as a virtue.
Yeah, well, people like frequent laughter, but a permanent smile, Flambeau. Well, now that's something else again. As Shakespeare says, the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape.
Oh, Father, it's 6 o'clock. We're just in time for the news. Let's turn on the radio.
That's a good idea. Perhaps there's something further on the case.
Listen.
Clear tonight and tomorrow somewhat cooler. Now we bring you a special bulletin just handed me on the Armstrong case.
Turn it up, Flambeau.
John Magnus, the gardener, the millionaire philanthropist, has been reported missing.
Oh.
Also, negotiable bonds of the dead man valued at $100,000. police received this report only a short while ago and are now conducting a statewide search for the gardener. It is believed...
Well, that seems to be the first real clue. Do you mind if I use the phone, Father? I'd like to talk to Royce again.
Yeah. The call will cost you a nickel. Tax, 2 cents. That's 7 cents. You just drop a dime in the poor box on your way out.
All right, Father. Hello, Royce? This is Flambeau. Now, wait a minute. We just heard the news about the gardener's disappearance.
Mother!
Hold on. You remember the friend I was telling you about? Yes, Father Brown. Well, we'd like to come up. What's that? Oh, I don't get it. Royce. My father, he's hung up.
What did he say?
He said if we valued our lives, we wouldn't go near that house.
Ah, interesting. Well, Flambeau, that's what I call a real invitation. Come on, my friend, let's go.
Well, I'm sure there's someone here, Father.
Ring again, Flambeau. Here's someone now.
Yes?
Oh, good evening, Royce.
So it's you, Flambeau. I thought I warned you plain enough over the phone.
You did. But look here, Royce. I don't understand
It was plain English I spoke.
I know, but you sounded like you were in trouble.
Well, I'm not.
Oh, come, man. Don't act as though we weren't friends. Oh, this is Father Brown.
I gathered as much.
Mr. Royce, I'm afraid I'm to blame for this visit.
Well, it was good of you to come, Father, but I wish you'd both heeded my warning.
Man, what kind of a friend would I have been if I had?
I tell you, the police have already investigated.
I know. I've talked with them.
Perhaps we can help you, Mr. Royce.
Help? In what way?
Well, maybe we could tell better if you'd ask us in.
Very well. You may come in. But you should have let sleeping dogs lie.
Kraft presents...
Well, Royce, I must confess I can't find anything here in Armstrong's room that tells us very much.
And just what did you expect to find?
Mr. Royce.
Yes?
What do you make of the gardener's disappearance?
Magnus is a fool, maybe a thief, but he never killed Mr. Armstrong. I'm sure it was the deed of a madman.
I see. My. Well, I would never have expected those to be there.
Father, what are you looking at?
That pair of socks over there thrown under the bureau.
Oh, they should be in the bureau drawer. Here, I'll put them away.
Wait. May I have a look at those bureau drawers, Mr. Royce?
What for?
Well, I'd just like to look.
What are you searching for?
And I'll take a peep at that closet, too, if you don't mind. Well, now that's funny.
What, Father?
Everything looked so neat when we came in.
Mr. Armstrong was always very particular.
Everything is in order on the surface. But underneath, things look different.
What things?
Well, in the closet, his socks are stuffed in the hangers with his suits. And in the bureau drawers, under those beautifully laid-out shirts...
Yes?
A whole lot of ginger spilled from a box.
Why do you have to go on?
It would have been there this morning, or the police would have found it.
Well, I just saw the wind blow an end of it out from under the vine. Royce, maybe you can tell me how this piece of rope got there.
What has that got to do with the case?
You know perfectly well a piece of rope was tied around the leg of the dead man.
That rope in your hand was left from fixing the windows.
Well, now, I'm just wondering.
Wondering what, Father?
Well, let me take a look out of that window.
Why?
For a very good reason. The police haven't yet established why the dead man was found on the parkway. No, that isn't it. The window isn't high enough from the ground for him to have fallen, or been pushed, or to have jumped.
Right. And not high enough for his body to have rolled down the embankment to the parkway.
Mr. Royce, isn't there another floor to this house?
There's only an attic.
Robert?
That's Miss Armstrong. She's been much upset since her father's death.
Oh, yes, of course.
You'll have to excuse me for a moment.
Certainly.
Father, I don't like the look of things. This rope I found in the vine was cut with a sharp instrument. The rope found on Armstrong's ankle was also cut with a sharp instrument. And did you notice the cut on Royce's knuckle?
Yes, I did, Flambeau. But, I haven't noticed any geniality He's hardly the person you described to me.
Yes, I know, Father. Didn't like him.
Nevertheless, it seems to fit his unshaven appearance.
It's the first time I've ever seen him that way, either.
You're worried about your friend's innocence, aren't you?
Well, I know how the mind of a thief works, Father. I was once a thief myself. But murder...
You think he's capable of murder?
Well, the answer to that one is more up your alley, Father.
Well, in any event, he's hiding something. But I think there is a secret in this house more important than his, and I'm very anxious to find out what it is. Now, first, look at the stains on the wall. And you felt the dust on the banisters as we came up.
Well?
Well, but the question fairly screams at us, Flambeau.
What question?
Why are there no servants in this house?
Well, Armstrong certainly had plenty of money. He could afford them.
Mm-hmm. There could only be one reason. If the old man himself had something to hide.
Father, you mean you think Armstrong...
Well,
Miss Armstrong's in the drawing room downstairs. She'd like to talk to you, Father Brown. If you will, please follow me.
Well, I hesitate to continue, Miss Armstrong. I know how badly you feel.
Please go on, Father Brown. I'm quite all right.
But that bruise on your forehead, Miss Armstrong...
Oh, that's nothing. It doesn't bother me. I bumped it.
Your father had a great many
Has been buried for 200
yes,
years
he
under
helped so
tons...
many people.
Do you know why your father decided to give up all his servants?
Well, great men like my father have their peculiarities.
Their ideas are often different from other people's.
Yes, very true, Mr. Royce, very true. I was only wondering...
Wait. Listen.
What?
Listen. Someone's unlocking the front door.
Who could it be? No one has a key besides us.
Who's that?
Me, Magnus.
Magnus.
Yes, Miss Armstrong. Magnus.
And here is Inspector Vincent. Well, how are you, Inspector?
Fine, Father Brown, fine. Hello, Flambeau. I might have known you two would be here.
Well, I see you got your man, Inspector. Is this the gardener who walked out of here with $100,000 worth of bonds?
Walked out of here and right into my office to place them in my charge. Hello, Royce. Are you feeling better, Miss Armstrong?
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
Now, Magnus, perhaps you'd care to tell Miss Armstrong why you took those bonds without consulting her.
No one in this household is to be trusted. Not even Miss Armstrong.
Now, see here, Magnus.
Just a minute, Royce. What I want to know, why did you wait so long before reporting this gardener's absence?
We didn't think much of it, Inspector, until I noticed the bonds were gone, too.
I was waiting for you to report it. Magnus has been telling me some very interesting things.
A new angle on the case, Inspector?
Well, it closes the case if Magnus is telling the truth.
Inspector, what this man says is not to be taken seriously. He's not been himself.
What makes you say that?
Magnus used to be my father's personal valet, Inspector. But he was taken off that and put to work in the garden. He's been very upset.
He thought it was quite a come-down.
Upset, am I? Well, I like that. I wasn't going to tell the inspector about you two being in love, but now
Be careful what you say, Magnus.
You weren't so careful what you said when I heard you two talking in the garden the other night.
Magnus.
I've stood enough of this.
Take it easy, Royce.
Inspector, may I make a suggestion?
Just a minute, Father Brown. Magnus, what are you getting at?
About 4 nights ago it was. I heard them in the garden. He was begging her to marry him. They didn't know I was close by.
No, Robert, we mustn't.
But, Alice, you've no life of your own. Let's face your father now. Let's tell him how much we love each other.
Oh, but Robert, we must wait. We really ought to.
I know how important you are to his work, but what about us? Our life. We can't go on waiting forever.
Oh, but Robert, it won't be forever. Oh, darling, you know I love you. You must be sure of that.
I am sure, my dearest. Oh, if only I could get my hands on some money.
What do you mean, Robert?
I'd make you marry me then, Alice.
Oh, Robert, I feel guilty even thinking of it. We mustn't, my darling. Not now. So long as he's alive.
I'll find some way out of this.
Shh. I thought I heard someone.
We better not talk here. Come, my dear.
Well, that's all I could hear. But I suspected them, what they were up to, and now I know.
You know what?
That they would be off with the money. Mr. Armstrong's money. The money he had wanted to be used for his work.
Inspector, this talk is ridiculous. You don't think...
Mr. Royce, do you use an old-fashioned razor?
Aye.
You didn't use it today. Why?
Why, I mislaid.
When?
I don't know. Since I last shaved, I guess.
That was yesterday. You can tell by his beard.
Magnus brought your razor into the precinct with him with the bonds. I'm holding it as evidence.
Why?
Because it had a smear of blood on it.
Oh, well, I must have cut myself shaving and forgot to wipe it.
Oh, Inspector, is this all the evidence you have of Royce's guilt?
Who said anything about Royce's guilt? Now, Magnus, tell them what you told me just now in the office.
I was sleeping in my room over the garage, and about 4 this morning I heard shots, followed by loud outcries, which seemed to come from the attic. An instant later, I saw Mr. Armstrong's body pitch from the window and roll down the embankment. When I made sure he was dead, I rushed up to the attic and found his daughter unconscious on the floor with a razor in her hand.
You mean Miss Armstrong killed her father?
It's a lie! Surely, Father Brown, you for one will take Miss Armstrong's word against his gardener's?
But is Miss Armstrong's word against him? So far, she has said nothing.
Miss Armstrong, can't you speak?
Magnus told the truth.
There, you see? I'll get you for this. I'll get you.
Here now.
You'll not say things like that. I will, and I do. Royce, go on, let go.
None of that, Royce, or I'll arrest you for assault.
No. You'll arrest me for murder.
Robert!
But, man, you've been Armstrong's best friend. What possessed you?
I was drunk.
Sure. Didn't I find those empty bottles hidden in the garden, piling up week after week? Sure. I knew what was going on here.
Now, Magnus, you've told your story. Let Royce tell his.
Maybe he was too drunk to remember.
Miss Armstrong did not pick up the razor to attack, but to defend her father from me. In the scuffle, she hit her head against the eaves of the attic. I hurried down to get something to revive her, and it must have been then that Magnus came in and found her.
Oh, Robert!
All right, Royce. Come along.
Wait, Inspector, before you arrest Royce.
What is it now, Father Brown?
Well, so far we've had opinions and confessions. But we haven't had facts. And we need facts.
And where do you think we'll find them?
In the attic.
In the attic?
Yes, Inspector. Perhaps by climbing a few steps nearer heaven, we can come closer to this evil.
But, Father, I can't figure out what you expect to find in this attic.
You sleep here, don't you, Mr. Royce?
Aye.
And Mr. Armstrong slept in the room immediately below this.
Aye, but why all these questions?
Well, now, in the first place, Mr. Royce, why did you bring your victim up here at the crack of dawn in order to kill him? Why didn't you go to his room? Well?
I've confessed. Isn't that enough?
Well, confession is good for the soul, that's granted. But, Inspector, you remember Magnus telling us he was awakened by shots?
Yes. What about those shots, Inspector?
Were any bullets found in Armstrong's body?
Well, we investigated and didn't find a one.
Wait. Here is my pistol. I fired those shots. You can see the holes in the carpet.
Well, why should anybody fire at the carpet?
A drunken man will let fly at anything.
He doesn't pick a quarrel with his feet.
And there's the rope. It was from my window here that Armstrong was thrown.
And the piece of rope I found fell to the vines below.
What about the blow on the head? According to our report, he was struck by a massive weapon.
A massive weapon indeed, Inspector. Sure. The good green earth was the weapon.
Okay, so the good green earth was the weapon. But look, this room was the beginning of the murder. Even I can see from the disorder. Come on, Royce. Let's go.
But the disorder here is all on the surface. The very opposite of Armstrong's room. No, it doesn't fit. Too many inconsistencies.
Father Brown, Royce has given himself up.
No. Really, this won't do at all.
What won't do?
Well, first the police said no weapon was found at all. Now we're finding too many.
Too many?
There's the razor to cut a person, the rope to strangle, the pistol to shoot, and after all this, Armstrong broke his skull falling out of a window. No. It won't do. It's not economical.
Alice, they won't believe me. You tell them.
Inspector.
Yes, young lady.
May I speak to Father Brown alone for a moment?
If you must, but be quick. We can't wait around here all night.
And now what is it, my child? What is it that you wish to say?
You're trying to save Robert, but it's no use. I should have realized before this his case is hopeless. Before he came to us, he was a prisoner of war. He had some shocking experiences.
Well, you think that was the reason for his drinking?
Yes, he wasn't himself at times. We thought he was getting over it, but... Father, I saw Robert commit the crime myself. I heard the shots. I ran up just in time to see him leap at my father.
Where was your father standing?
He was clinging to the windowsill in terror.
But the rope?
Robert tried to strangle him with it. Father fought back, and the rope slipped from his shoulders to his feet, tightening around the leg. Robert was like a maniac. I snatched the razor from the floor and managed to cut the rope before he pushed me against the
Miss
eaves.
Armstrong, what we see with our eyes is sometimes farthest from the truth. Now, you thought that you saw a man about to commit murder. What you actually saw was two men struggling, and then you lost consciousness.
But Father Brown...
I want you to go downstairs, my dear.
I don't understand.
Go on now, please. Do as I say.
Very well.
Thank you, my dear.
Well, Father Brown, I've seen and heard enough to convince me. Unless you know something pretty startling, I'm taking Royce down and booking him.
If you don't mind, Inspector, I'd like to talk to Royce a bit before you do.
What about, Father?
Well, where's Alice?
She's out of earshot, Mr. Royce. So why don't you tell us about it now?
Tell you about what?
I see. Well, then I'll tell you, Inspector. Those 3 tools of death were not used to kill Armstrong, but to save him.
Save him?
Father, I don't get this.
Save him from what?
From himself. At the time old Armstrong died, he was a suicidal maniac. No, Royce, you weren't drinking.
No?
No, and you were the only one who knew what lurked behind old Armstrong's laughter.
No.
Yes, you knew that behind that merry mask was the mind of an atheist.
No.
A man who knew nothing of God. He didn't realize until it was too late that human beings need something to worship greater than themselves.
I warned Flambeau not to bring you here, Father. I was afraid it might come to this.
Well, man, what harm is there in the truth now?
Alice must never know.
Why? Why shouldn't she be told that you weren't the enemy her father feared? Shall I name the enemy, Royce?
All right, Father Brown. You win. This morning, Armstrong was determined to do away with himself. He knew I kept my service pistol in my dresser. And when he heard me go down to the kitchen early at dawn, he left his room and came up here.
And you came in and accidentally surprised him.
I got the pistol out of his hand, but in the struggle I had no time to unload, so I fired at the carpet. Then he found my razor and tried to slash himself. I snatched it from him and flung it to the floor. I ran after him with a rope to tie him up.
And it was then that the unlucky girl ran in, and misunderstanding the struggle.
She tried to cut her father free with a razor. She cut the rope, slashing my knuckle just as I pushed her, and he went crashing into eternity out of that window.
But, Father Brown, you spoke of an enemy old man Armstrong feared.
I did, yes.
You mean the enemy was in this room with him at the same time as Royce?
Yes.
Who was it?
The sin. The very thing Armstrong was so vehement against.
You mean alcohol?
It was his worst enemy. The moment I saw the ginger in one of the bureau drawers downstairs, I suspected it was the futile effort of a man who was trying to give up drinking. Isn't that right, Royce?
Yes, Father Brown. Armstrong was living a lie, and it preyed on his mind.
And he feared his public might find him out.
Aye. The more despondent he got, the darker visions he had of failing his followers. The people who looked to him for guidance. So fearful was he of anyone prying into his secret that he hid from his friends and got rid of all his servants.
And you were the only one he could confide in.
Aye.
He didn't understand your loyalty, did he?
No, but it was for her sake, you see.
And so you kept the knowledge of his spells to yourself, letting his daughter believe it was you, the result of the war.
Aye.
Well, Royce, I can't imagine why you didn't speak up before.
Don't you see? It was because she must never know.
Never know what?
Why, that she killed her own father.
I see. By trying to free him.
My son, I think she should know. After all, it was only an accident. And accidents, no matter how tragic, do not poison life like sins. I think you should both be happier now. Surely, 2 private lives are worth more than the public reputation of Aaron Armstrong.
Well, Father, at last you're back.
Yes, we were worried.
Hello, Nora. Hello, Peter.
Have you had dinner?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, that's a shame. I'd better go fix you something right away.
Oh, my. It's nice to sit down again. Oh, Peter, you missed your story tonight. I'm sorry.
Father, I heard tonight's story. Many versions of it.
You did? How?
From the news commentators over the radio.
Oh.
They've been reading bulletins on it every half hour or so.
I see.
Tell me, Father, what made you suspect Royce wasn't guilty?
Well, looking into the hidden places of his attic room convinced me of Royce's innate neatness, Peter.
I don't quite see.
Well, I knew that no one as orderly as Royce could commit such a murder. The whole thing was too sloppy. I mean, the 3 tools of death.
But how did you discover that Armstrong was a suicide?
Well, the same method, but in reverse. I'm afraid my methods are not orthodox, Peter. I'm no real detective. To me, a man's inner nature must be revealed first. Armstrong's habits revealed his nature just as Royce's did. They justified certain suspicions I had when Flambeau told me of his death.
What do you mean?
Well, Armstrong's erratic character was clear to me when I looked into his bureau drawers. See, there I saw the compartments of his mind. The neatness mixed with the disorder which his friend Royce had tried to cover up. The litter reflecting the mind of the depressed.
Surely you had something more than that to prove he was a suicide.
Well, yes, Peter, I had myself.
Yourself?
Yes. I dare say that I would feel as Armstrong did if I had ever preached an easy road to happiness and then had slipped into a ditch by the side of the road.
Yes, Father, I see.
Yes. Well, now, good night, Father Peter.
Good night, Father Brown.
Been listening to The Adventures of Father Brown with Carl Swenson as Father Brown. Father Brown's adventure tonight was called The 3 Tools of Death. The character of Father Brown was created by G.K. Chesterton in the detective novels called The Adventures of Father Brown. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Adventures of Father Brown. From the exciting pages of G.K. Chesterton comes the best-loved detective of them all, Father Brown, played by Carl Swenson. Now for tonight's adventures, The Mystified Mind. It is just after lunch on a hot August afternoon, and Father Brown sits at his desk in the study of his modest parish house. He's deep in his notebooks and monthly records. Father Brown doesn't look up at the sound of the doorbell. Nora, the housekeeper, comes along the corridor past the study door.
Pity they can't leave him alone just for once.
Hello, Nora.
Oh, it's you, Flambeau.
Yes. Is Father Brown in? I've brought someone to see him. This is Miss Harridge, Nora.
Good afternoon, Nora. Flambeau told me about you.
Nothing good, I warrant. Well, if you must see Father Brown, you must. He's in his study.
Oh, thank you, Nora. This way, Miss Harridge. You know, Nora's bark is much worse than her bite. Hello, Father Brown.
Well, Flambeau. My, this is a pleasure.
I've brought someone to see you, Father. This is Miss Joyce Harridge.
Well, come in, my dear. Come in. Pull up that comfortable chair for Miss Harris, Flambeau.
I'm afraid we're disturbing you, Father.
One of man's greatest pleasures is to be disturbed at his work. Yes, sit down, my dear.
Thank you, Father.
Miss Harridge has brought me a case, Father, which I think is more up your alley than mine.
Oh.
The fact is, we're on our way now to talk to a murderer in his cell.
Oh. And what makes you think, Miss Harris, that this man you call a murderer is not guilty?
Why, how do you know I think that, Father?
Well, because Flambeau is a detective. And the only use a man charged with murder has for a detective is to prove his innocence.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head, Father. But I'm afraid there isn't much I can do. It looks like an open and shut case.
You know, I have never understood the meaning of that phrase, Flambeau. To be both open and shut is a paradox. Well, now suppose, my dear, that you tell me about the man in the cell whom someone has called a murderer.
Well, to begin with, Father, Trail Engineers. Rollins' offices are located on the 17th floor of the Jefferson Building. The whole thing happened last Thursday morning, just after I arrived at the office.
I see. Well, go on.
Well, every Thursday morning, just as our office opens, a man comes in to clean the windows.
I see.
His name is Luigi Conti. We've all gotten to know him well over the years because his daughter was in Keller. I just got into the office last week. Good morning, Miss Harris. No, I've sent you not to come to work.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Mr. Clayton.
Hello, darling.
Oh, just think what it would be like at the beach today.
I guess the sick grandmother gag has worn itself out. Let's plan the beach for the weekend, though, huh?
Oh, yes, I'd love it.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Gregory.
Good morning.
Whether it's good or not is a matter of your own personal feeling. If you're waiting to get into the vault, it's only 3. The time lock won't work for another 2 minutes.
When I first came to work here, I was convinced, though it wasn't until I began getting here on time that I discovered he actually lived in the outside world.
Uh-oh.
Well, I want to talk to you about the Kennedy job after I've gone through the mail, Clayton.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there's the window cleaner. You know it's gotten so you can tell time by Luigi.
Joyce, yes. You know, that's a job I wouldn't like to have.
What?
Luigi. It does something to the pit of my stomach when I see him climb out on that.
He's used to it. There's really no danger with one of those safety belts.
The
window cleaner! He's fallen! It's Luigi! One side of his belt gave way! Just hanging there! Mr. Rowland, help me! Mr. Rowland!
Quick, Gregory! Fallen all the way to the street.
Papa! Papa!
Don't look, Lisa. You mustn't look, my dear. Dreadful accident.
Accident! Look, part of the belt's still hanging there. It's been cut through. Not an accident. Tony did it.
Tony? Now, Lisa, you mustn't say that.
Tony did it, I tell you. I know it. Tony did it.
That's the whole crux of the case, Father. It was murder, all right, because Luigi's safety belt had been cut through with a razor blade.
Oh, my.
So that the minute he threw his weight against it, it gave way.
And the man that Lisa accused, the man she called Tony.
That's Anthony Cremona, Father.
Uh-huh.
He's been arrested and charged with a murder. He was Luigi's assistant at the Jefferson Building.
And he was nuts about Luigi's daughter.
Well, why did the girl jump so quickly to the conclusion that it was this boy who had cut the safety belt?
Well, apparently because the old man and the boy were constantly arguing and fighting. There were threats and counter-threats.
I see.
Father, Luigi was terribly proud of Lisa. Every cent he'd earned had gone for her education and business school. He thought Tony wasn't good enough for her. He was dead set against anything serious developing between them.
Their window cleaning equipment in a closet, and both Tony and Luigi had a key to it. Young Tony had plenty of opportunity to slice the belt with a razor blade. As far as the cops are concerned, that's all there is to it.
Yes. Well, is that all the evidence against him, Flambeau?
That's all the police have found, Father.
No, that's just too black and white. There are no shadings, no coloring. People are not so simple as a first-grade problem in arithmetic, you know.
Well, Father, I've gotten to know Tony a little in the last year.
Oh?
He's been so anxious to marry Lisa. He's been working like a Trojan to better himself. Going to night school, studying engineering.
Father, Miss Harridge has an interesting point to make.
Oh.
Well, it's simply this, Father Brown. If Tony had struck down Lisa's father in the midst of one of their arguments, it would fit his character, his hot temper.
Yes, but cutting through the belt was a cold and character, is that it?
Yes, Father.
I see. I think we should not put off going to see Anthony Cremona in this terrace.
No, but the trouble is he won't see anyone. He won't talk to a lawyer, he won't see Miss Harridge, and he won't see me.
We thought that maybe with you, he might feel differently.
Well, sometimes injustice will turn a man's face away from all other men. We can only try, Miss Harris. We can only try.
Cremona's cell is at the end of this block, Father.
Oh, thank you, Sergeant. Flambeau, would you and Miss Harridge wait here?
Yes, Father Brown.
Someone to see you, Cremona.
I don't want to see anybody.
Tony.
I didn't know they sent a priest to see you till just before the hanging.
But there are two kinds of hanging, Tony. The hanging that takes place in the minds of men, and the hanging that takes place at the end of a rope. A priest may be valuable in both cases.
Well, I can't stop you from talking to me if you want to.
You may open the cell door for me, Sergeant.
Holler when you want to get out, Father.
All right, thank you.
Now, look, if this is some kind of a trick to get me to change my story.
Since I haven't heard your story, Tony, why should I ask you to change it?
Well, maybe it don't sound like much. Can't change the truth.
And who is it that doesn't believe it?
The police? Lisa. You know something, Father? The minute it happened, the very minute it happened, Lisa shouted out my name.
Yes, but you had threatened her father, hadn't you, Tony?
Sure, I threatened him. He was a stubborn, narrow-minded old fool. But I had a suit of clothes from a fine tailor and plenty of dough in my pocket. He'd have thought I was the right guy.
Yes, Tony?
Father, Lisa hasn't even been to see me. She hasn't given me a chance. You think she'd at least hear my side of it, wouldn't you?
Well, what is your side of it, my son?
I never touched Luigi's safety belt. Kept that stuff in the same closet, but I never touched his belt.
Yes, go on, Tony.
If I was going to murder Luigi, I wouldn't have been satisfied with cutting just one side of his belt.
No?
No. But the belt should have held him up, even when one side gave way. It was an accident the other side of the belt didn't hold. No window cleaner would have cut just one side of the belt if he wanted Luigi to fall. What's the use of my telling him that?
Maybe a great deal of use, Tony. You see, there's a bitterness in your heart that's keeping a cloud in front of your eyes. You have friends, you know.
Friends?
Oh, well, it's Miss Harris who believes them. And there's Flambeau, the detective hired to clear you of this charge. And there's me, Tony.
Do you mean that, Father?
Yes.
You really mean it?
What's the course I do?
Well, then, if you see Lisa, will you tell her?
What?
Will you tell her there are still people that don't go around accusing a man without giving him a hearing?
Well, Father, would he talk to you?
Yes, Flambeau, he talked with me.
And what do you think, Father?
Sometimes the things I think are frightening, even to me. Sometimes I wish I could give up the whole business of thinking.
Then you think Tony is guilty?
No, Miss Harris, I think he's innocent.
But in that case, Father...
But thinking it isn't proving it. Now, I'd like to go to your office. I'd like to see the place where this accident happened.
Accident? Now, Father, I've seen these tricks pulled before, and cutting a safety belt is...
I have a passion for accuracy, Flambeau. I called it an accident because it was an accident. Tragic accident. You see, the window cleaner, Luigi, was never meant to die.
But, Father...
Now, let's not waste time, Flambeau. I have an urgent curiosity to lay eyes on a criminal, and he's not in a cell at the city jail. And it's entirely possible that we'll find him at the office of Rollins and Keller. May God have mercy. And this is the office where it happened, eh, Miss Harriet?
Yes, Father. There's only this one large drafting room and Mr. Rollins' private office.
I see. That's the vault that you spoke of.
Yes, it is. Old Gregory sits there by the wicket, and nobody goes in or out of the vault without being checked by him.
Oh, what's so valuable in the vault?
Oh, chiefly blueprints. We do a lot of work for the government. All very hush-hush.
Now, which is the window from which Luigi fell?
Oh, that one over there, at the far end of the office.
Ah, yes, it would be at the far end. Miss Harridge, I think I should talk to your employer, Mr. Rollins.
Very well, Father. His office is right over here.
Thank you.
Pardon me, Mr. Rollins.
What? Oh, come in.
Mr. Rollins, this is Father Brown and Flambeau. They'd like to talk to you for a moment.
Come in, come in.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to my drawing board.
Yes, Miss Harris. Well, gentlemen, what can I do for you? So we've come about the window cleaner who was murdered.
On the contrary, Mr. Rollins, we've come about the vault that was robbed.
Well, gentlemen, make up your minds.
I'm sorry to have to tell you that valuable designs or blueprints are missing from your vault.
I don't know what this is all about, gentlemen, but I can assure you there's nothing missing from the vault. You see, it works on a time mechanism. It opens at 5 minutes past 9 in the morning and closes at 5 minutes to 5 at night. All day long, Gregory sits outside the gate, and nothing can be taken without his knowing it. I trust Gregory with anything I have.
With your money, Mr. Rollins?
With more than that, Father Brown. There's secrets in that vault that money could not buy back.
Well, I only hope that whatever was stolen is still missing.
Oh, really, Father? First you tell me I've been robbed, and then you wish me bad luck on top of it.
Now, if I worked in your office and someone offered me a great deal of money for one of the blueprints in your vault, this is what I do. I take the blueprint, have it photostated, and then return it to the vault. And if I was lucky enough to get back in time, you'd never know you'd been betrayed, Mr. Rollins.
That would be a way to do it. Father,
look in the vault, Mr. Rollins. Don't let anyone know what you're looking for. And if you find anything missing, come back and tell me, but no one else.
This is really ridiculous.
Look, Mr. Rollins.
All right. I will look. Will you gentlemen wait here?
Thank you.
Of course, I'm really an innocent bystander, but if it wouldn't be too much trouble to explain...
Yeah, but the trouble doesn't lie in the explanations, Flambeau. The trouble lies in catching a peculiarly subtle thief.
Murderer.
That's the point, Flambeau. There was no murderer. By intent.
And how was Luigi supposed to fall 17 stories to the street without dying, Father?
He wasn't supposed to fall. The other side of his belt should have held him up.
But what could be the purpose in it?
The everlasting greed of man, Flambeau. That was the motive. The purpose in cutting Luigi's belt was purely and simply to distract attention from the vault. That's an old magician's trick. Distract attention from what's really happening. Everyone was at the window.
Yeah, by George, it would work.
Certainly.
If the thief knew exactly where the blueprint he wanted was kept in the vault, it would only take him a matter of seconds.
Precisely, Flambeau. And with everyone's attention riveted in another direction.
You were right, Father Brown. Secret designs for a new jet-propelled plane gone. You must notify the police at once.
Not if you want the plans back.
What?
If the thief doesn't know that you've discovered the theft, he'll try to put them back.
But how do we catch him, Father? If we watch the vault, he won't go in. And if we don't watch the vault, we won't know who puts the plans back.
I think I can find an answer to that riddle.
How?
By committing a crime, Flambeau.
What are you doing
doing here, Father Brown?
Oh, I'm just sitting on this bench, Miss Harridge.
I saw Flambeau leave, but why are you sitting here?
Well, you see, to understand why a criminal acts as he does, one must know exactly how he feels. One must, so to speak, get inside of him, understand his every thought. And when I've done this, when I've reached the point of committing the crime myself, then I know who the criminal is.
Oh, well, that sounds complicated.
Understanding the human mind is the most complicated of all sciences, Miss Harridge. Now, take yourself, for example. Your interest in young Tony Cremona. Is it just ordinary human kindness? Or is it personal and intimate?
It's just that he's a nice boy who's being blamed for something I don't think he did.
I see. And is there no one else here who feels the same as you?
I know Jim Clayton.
I'd like to talk to this Mr. Clayton of yours, may I?
Yes, I'll call him. Jim? Jim?
Yes?
Jim, this is Father Brown.
Oh, hello, Father.
How do you do?
Joyce has been telling me that you feel the same way as we do about Tony Cremona.
Well, unfortunately, just feeling something will not help him.
Yes, I know. The trouble is, there aren't any clues that point in any other direction.
That's what makes it such a clever crime. But just because a man points in a certain direction, Mr. Clayton, doesn't mean that we must walk in that direction. So I am stubbornly walking in all the other directions, if you see what I mean.
Here's a telegram for you, Father Brown.
But the telegram? Well, now, that's odd. It's very odd. Advise you leave office of Rollins and Keller and don't come back. Well.
Father Brown.
Yes?
I'm Lisa Conte. I know why you're here.
Oh, do you now? Because I don't know why you're here, Lisa.
I work here. What else should I be?
Well, you might be in a cell at the city jail, talking to a nice young man who's eating out his heart because of you.
Talking to a murderer, you mean?
And where is your authority for judging, Lisa? Even a court of law will listen to young Tony's story.
He threatened to kill Papa. He did it. They hang him, I'll stand and watch it and be glad.
Then you should be happy now, Lisa. Because you've already done the only hanging that'll cause him any pain.
But, Father Brown, I tell you...
A person who will not listen even to a lie cannot have much to tell anyone, Lisa. Because what can she know? That's either true or false. Tell me, who delivered this telegram?
Oh, it was delivered by a regular messenger, Father.
Oh, I see. Here, read it.
What? It's a threat against you, Father Brown.
Do you think the police allowed Tony to send me that telegram from his cell in the city jail?
Oh, no.
They tell me, Lisa, that it's possible to visit the jail at any time, day or night. I beg your pardon, but you're Mr. Gregory, aren't you?
Yes.
Do you know the mechanism of that vault fascinates me? It's closed for the night now?
Yes.
I see. You mean to say that no one can open it until morning?
Not till 5 minutes past 9 tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. You certain?
There's no way on earth to open it till then.
Well, now, you may think it odd for me to have this turn of mind, Mr. Gregory, but suppose a thief were to walk into the vault in broad daylight and come out with something he had no right to have.
I'd stop him.
Oh, but suppose he was a monstrous big man, Mr. Gregory, who could pick you up and put you aside like a child.
Then I'd shoot him. You see, I keep a gun in this desk drawer.
Oh, my. Yes. Well, now, suppose that you weren't at your post, Mr. Gregory.
I'm always at my post.
Always?
Always.
Well, that's an interesting speculation, Mr. Gregory. Good night. Yeah. I'll see you in the morning, just before you open your wonderful vault.
You're coming back again tomorrow?
Oh, yes. Unless, of course, I should receive a visit from a murderer before that time.
Oh, there you are, Father. I thought you were never going to get home.
Telegram, Flambeau. I've been warned to give up my innocent bench sitting at Rollins and Keller. Here, you can see for yourself.
Oh, so that's the way the wind blows.
Well, at any rate, it's a wind, Flambeau, but I'm frank to say that I don't know from what direction it blows. Oh, excuse me, Flambeau. Father Brown speaking.
Okay, then listen.
Who is this?
Never mind who it is. The boy won't hang if you mind your own business.
What? Well, what's that?
You got the telegram?
Yes, I got it. Did you send it?
Never mind who sent it. It's good advice. Now, you stay away from Rollins and Keller, you understand? Stay away.
Hello? Hello? Well, now, we seem to be getting warm, Flambeau. That was another warning to stay away from Rollins and Keller.
Oh? What are you going to do?
Return, of course. Tomorrow.
But, Father, the thief won't put the plans back while you're watching the vault.
He'll put them back tomorrow morning, Flambeau.
Well, what makes you think so?
That's not a matter of thinking. I know it. And I know when, Flambeau. He'll put the plans back in the vault at exactly 10 minutes past 9.
Floor, please.
17, please. Well, what's the matter, Father? You look worried.
Now, we've drawn this a touch fine, Flambeau. It's already 1 minute past 9.
Well, unless the elevator breaks down.
Don't even think such a thought, Flambeau. Don't even think.
17.
Well, we made it.
Oh, Father Brown.
Oh, good morning, Lisa.
Father, I went to see Tony last night.
Did you now?
Father, I don't know what I could have been thinking of when I talked to him, when I saw him.
He's a good boy, Lisa. A good, honest boy who holds you very high in his heart. And I'm sure there's less pain in it now from having seen you.
3 minutes past 9, Father.
Oh, yes. Excuse me, Lisa. Come along, Flambeau.
Good morning, Father Brown.
Good morning, Miss Harris. Good morning, Mr. Clayton.
Hello, Father.
I hope to be here in time to see the vault mechanism.
Well, you hit it right on the nose, Father. There's Gregory standing by now.
I see you did come back.
Yes, I came back, Mr. Gregory. Well, now, how does this vault of yours work?
In 30 seconds, I open the door.
You mean to say there's no ringing of bells? No fanfare of trumpets?
No. I just open the door. Like this.
Well, now, Mr. Gregory, I am disappointed. You know, somehow I expected more drama.
Here comes Mr. Rollins, Father.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Rollins.
Father Brown, I simply can't hold off going to the police any longer. I have a responsibility to the government. Those plans...
Those plans, Mr. Rollins, will be in your hands in a very few minutes.
You know who took them?
Oh, you might say that I do. Well, what time is it, Flambeau?
7 minutes past 9, Father.
Well, then there's no use delaying. Flambeau, please take those very efficient handcuffs from your pocket and put them on Mr. Gregory.
Gregory? Why, that's
Arrest
impossible.
Mr. Gregory, Flambeau.
Well, it's your party, Father. All right, Gregory, hold out your hand.
This is insane. I tell you, you're all insane. I had nothing to do with that window cleaner's death.
You're charged with stealing important plans from the vault, Gregory.
That's not true. You know that's not true, don't you, Mr. Rollins?
Plans have been stolen from the vault, Gregory, but I think this is a mistake. I can't believe that you had anything to do with it.
I back Gregory to the limit, too.
Nothing could be taken from the vault without Gregory's connivance. He says he never left his post here.
No.
Well, if he didn't, then he's a thief. Come along, Gregory.
Now, really, Father Brown, Gregory's been with us 30 years.
There's no doubt about it. Gregory's on the level.
Well, maybe he is. Father Brown says to copy my copy.
Father Brown, what are you doing here in the vault?
Waiting, Miss Harris. Waiting for you to bring back the plan.
So you
Well,
How did you know?
Well, I didn't. Not really.
But
All I knew was that the thief would come into the vault. You see, Miss Harris, you fell for your own trick.
Trick?
The window cleaner was your trick for distracting attention from the vault. Mr. Gregory was my trick for doing the same.
So that was it.
I confess that when you walked in here, I was a little puzzled. After the telegram and the man's voice on the telephone warning me not to come back here.
Man's voice?
Yes, I rather think that your fiancé, Mr. Clayton, has suspected all along that you were guilty.
Oh.
And he tried to frighten me off. Why did you do it, Miss Hattie?
Jim and I wanted to get married. He said he didn't have enough money. Then I was offered a big sum to steal one of the blueprints for just a few hours, just long enough for it to be photostated. Then I could put it back and no one would be the wiser.
I see. But everything went wrong. First Luigi was killed.
Oh, Father, I swear I never meant that to happen.
Yes, but it did happen. And then when Tony was arrested, you went to Flambeau.
I wish I knew why. I wish I knew why I went to Flambeau in the first place.
Because no person is all bad or all good. You knew that Tony was innocent, and the goodness in you forced you to do something to help him. It's a strange twist that you must now forfeit your freedom, perhaps your life, only because you were not all bad.
Oh, help me, Father. Please help me.
Yes. Yes, I'll help you. But we must begin by facing the music. Come along, Miss Harris.
Next week, The Prophecy of Doom, an exciting adventure in which a world-famous mind reader prophesies the death of a famous inventor at a moment to be decided by a watch that cannot tell time. The Adventures of Father Brown, based on the stories by G.K. Chesterton, was produced by Francis Shirley Oliver and directed by William M. Sweets. Carl Swenson was Father Brown, and the cast included Barry Thompson, Mitzi Gould, Bobby Reddick, Bill Griffiths, Will Geer, Gretchen Davidson, Vinton Hayworth, and Gladys Thornton. The script was by Judson Phillips, and the music by Bill Wurgis. John Stanley speaking. Americans everywhere, please listen, and seafaring men especially. Experienced seamen are now needed to man cargo and waters. This means you, if you're an oiler, water tender, mate, or engineer. Every available man of the sea is needed to keep every fighting man at the front well supplied. Join the Merchant Marine as soon as possible. Upgrading is faster than ever before. Wire your name, address, and classification today. Collect to Merchant Marine, Washington, D.C. Standby pay begins immediately upon acceptance. This announcement from the Warshipping Administration is brought to you as a public service. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin in The Marriage. With the conviction that marriage remains the most popular domestic arrangement between friendly people, NBC takes pleasure in presenting by transcription one of the most distinguished couples of the American theater, Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin, as Liz and Ben Marriott in the love and laughter of The Marriage.
On the day that my father retired from his position as elementary school principal, he announced to the family that he did not intend to run down like an 8-day clock at the end of the week. He signed up for handball lessons at the YMCA and matriculated at Rutgers University for a doctorate in ancient history. We don't see Father often. Occasionally, the family has a pleasant get-together after the funeral of some distant cousin. But recently, we saw quite a lot of him. My sister Virginia, that's the unmarried one, was off to California for 3 weeks, and we inherited Father. We were discussing it at dinner one night, the night he was scheduled to arrive.
What kind of rainfall, Gregory?
Peter, try that again without benefit of mashed potatoes.
It It was string beans.
Oh, I should have known. The vowels come out French.
Oh.
What time does Grandpa get here?
I don't know. He's supposed to telephone from Penn Station.
Isn't Virginia bringing him in?
Well, why should she?
Ben, your father's 72.
Don't worry. He has all his faculties.
I thought he wasn't principal anymore. It's a different kind of faculty, Dopey.
Peter, it means thinking. When some people get very old, sometimes they don't think as well as they used to. They don't remember things. Their minds just slow down.
Oh. How old are you, Pop?
Never mind.
I wish we could figure out some way so he didn't have to sleep on the couch. Maybe we could give him our bed. Well, I could sleep on the couch, and you will...
Yeah, there's always a hook in the hall closet.
I'll get it, Mummy. Thank you, dear.
Emily, well, Emily.
Well, it can't be.
It's Grandpa! Grandpa!
Hello,
But Virginia wrote...
Hello.
He was supposed to call.
Maybe he took a cab. Well, Father Marion.
Elizabeth, my dear, good evening. Now, don't get up. Good evening, Benjamin.
Father, good evening.
Well, Emily. Are you big enough so I can start kissing you again?
Oh, Grandpa.
I presume I can shake hands with you, Peter.
If you don't mind, Grandpa.
Not at all. There.
Wow. What a grip.
Father, you were supposed to call from the station.
Did you take a taxi?
I walked.
Walked.
But Penn Station must be 30 blocks away.
31. Allowing for crosstown blocks, I estimated at 1 8/10 miles.
What'd you do it in, Grandpa?
An average of slightly under 2 1/2 miles per hour. Counting traffic lights, there was a stiff headwind.
Have you had dinner? It won't take me a minute to heat up the gravy.
No, thank you. I had sandwiches on the train. I brought them in a shoebox.
Are you sure? There's a whole roast left.
Now,
really?
please, Elizabeth.
I'll just fix a nice plate.
No.
No?
No, thank you. I really don't want you to trouble. It's a principle with me. Man has one quality which separates him from the animals. Does anyone know what it is?
Pop has his hand up.
Oh, I'm just scratching my ear.
Well, Benjamin, the quality which separates man from the animals...
What? Oh, see. Opposable thumb?
No, Benjamin. Primarily adaptability. I pride myself on it. I don't want you to trouble about me. I will adjust to you.
That's very sweet of you. But you will have coffee and dessert with it.
Coffee? Is it decaffeinated?
Oh, I'm afraid not.
Father, we really don't drink much coffee.
Well, I'll take a glass of milk if it's all right. If you have plenty for the children.
Oh, you can have mine, Grandpa.
Never mind, Pete. I'll get you a glass of milk right now. Emily, will you clear?
Here, Mom.
Oh, Elizabeth, is the coffee on the stove heating?
Yes, it is.
Then it wouldn't be too much additional trouble to replace the pot with a saucepan. Would it require turning on another unit?
No, it wouldn't.
Fine. Then I'll take my milk slightly warmed, as long as it's no additional trouble.
Oh, it's no trouble.
And just a scant teaspoon of honey.
Father always was an active conversationalist. I remember breakfast when I was little as a very educational experience. Now he sipped his warm milk and debated with Pete the merits of the leather clutch in the 1911 Rolls-Royce. He hadn't changed. I remember the precise gesture with which he told off on his fingers the major points of his discourse. I'd always remembered his hair as gray. The glass of his bifocals couldn't hide that sparkle in his eye. At 9 o'clock precisely, he took his thin gold watch from his vest pocket, snapped open the lid, then snapped it shut again.
It's been a long time, but I seem to remember 9 o'clock as the customary retiring hour for young gentlemen of Peter's age.
You mean I have to go to bed?
It's your bedtime, Pete.
Aw.
Go on now. Say goodnight to Grandfather.
Good night, Grandpa.
Good night, Peter.
Do I have to, Pop?
Go ahead, Pete. And no sneaking in a flashlight to read under the covers.
Okay. Good night.
At 10 o'clock, Emily went in to finish her homework. Liz and Father and I sat in the living room and talked. father had just read an article on progressive trends in education.
In my school, I always saw to it that the children graduated knowing at least 100 facts of cardinal importance.
But who chose which 100 facts were the most important?
I did.
Oh. Did the children enjoy it?
I don't think so. From 1928 until I retired, I believe I was known to several generations of students as Old Picklehead. It used to appear on the walls of the washrooms with remarkable consistency. I had a custodian working an hour a day erasing it.
But do you think it was really worth it?
No. Children will write on walls in washrooms.
I mean the 100 facts.
Father, I don't think you mean to say that the purpose of education is only to...
Excuse me, Benjamin. I see it as exactly 11:27. I suggest we continue this discussion at breakfast.
Well, I just wanted to make this point. I think
you
it's all
do
right.
have to appear at your office tomorrow, Benjamin.
Well, yes, I do.
I think 11:30 is late enough then.
Really, Father, we don't
I
usually
find
go...
that regularity in sleeping schedules contributes to general peace of mind.
Well, I suppose we should get some sleep. Liz?
It is 11:27.
Yes, it is. 11:27.
11:28. Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, Benny.
Good night, Father.
Good night. Ben, are you asleep?
No.
Neither am I.
Really?
I'm not sleepy at all.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, we don't usually go to bed till around 12:30.
No, we can use the extra sleep.
What extra sleep? I'm going to turn on the light and read. What do you think?
About what?
Your father.
What should I think?
Ben, if I've heard you condemn the fact-stuffing school of education once, I've heard it 1,000 times.
What do you mean?
Well, you just sat there.
Well, now, you don't want me to argue with him, do you?
Why not?
Well, he's 72, and besides, it's not important. And, you know, there's something to what he says.
Is there?
Well, the kids don't learn enough facts. You know, Emily didn't know the date of the Norman invasion when Father asked her.
Were you embarrassed?
Oh, a little, sure.
You're lucky you didn't call on me. I probably wouldn't have known which country they invaded.
Now, cut it out, Liz. Say, what's the matter, anyway?
Oh, nothing. I don't really know. What's that?
Father must be going to bed. He believes in fresh air for sleeping.
That one was in the kitchen. Father has all the extra blankets on the couch.
Oh, we'll be warm enough.
At 15 degrees? Well, anyway, we'll stay fresh for months.
What is it? Benjamin.
Do you need anything? There are towels on the rack.
I just saw the light under your door. It's 12:05, Benjamin.
Oh. All right.
Good night, son.
Good night.
Benjamin.
Yes?
Do you think I could sneak in a flashlight and read under the covers?
Father was up early in the morning and made breakfast for the whole family.
There we are. Fresh squeezed orange juice, hot cereal, wheat cakes with molasses, and cocoa.
Cocoa? We usually have a cup of coffee.
Oh, just a 7-ounce cup. Ben can't get started in the morning without his coffee.
Dependency upon artificial stimulants is a weakness of character, Benjamin. I'll pour your cocoa.
I want my coffee.
Now, Liz, you don't want to hurt his feelings. After all, he did make the breakfast.
Without coffee.
I'll have it in a minute. Coffee contains caffeine and other injurious elements.
I want a nice hot cup of injurious elements with heavy cream.
Now, 1 cup of coffee isn't going to make as much difference as all that.
Oh, I know. You'll head for the nearest drugstore on the way to work, but I'm stuck here.
I'll bring you some tonight in a thermos.
Thanks.
Here we are. 2 brimful piping hot cups of Marriott's Special Blend Cocoa. Well, are you having some trouble, Emily?
I sure am, Grandpa. Can you do a geometry problem when everything is unknown?
Well, you set the proposition up wrong. Start by writing out the Pythagorean theorem. You do know it.
Well, not exactly offhand.
There's nothing offhand about mathematics.
Mr. Jacobson says geometry is like playing the piano. You have to practice.
And he's quite right. How about an hour of drill every weeknight after supper?
But a whole hour?
Oh, you'll soon find that mathematics is more thrilling than music or popular fiction.
I will?
If we attack this together in an organized manner, within a few weeks you'll be begging me to start you in advanced trigonometry.
Hello! In the kitchen, then.
Don't bother fixing anything, Liz. I had a bite downtown.
How big a bite?
Just a sandwich and coffee.
Oh. How would you like to smuggle me in a few coffee beans in the heels of your shoes?
It wasn't very good coffee.
We had a lovely supper.
Well, that's fine.
Turnip greens.
Father's idea?
They're jam-packed with some obscure vitamin. Pete ate 2 portions.
What did you use, a bullwhip?
He saw Father pick up a chair by one leg and hold it at arm's length.
What's Emily doing?
Nightly geometry sessions.
I guess Father gets a kick out of sort of getting back to teaching.
Ben, Emily doesn't like geometry.
She'll learn from Father. If there's one thing he knows how to do, it's study drill.
Look, Ben, you've just got to do something. You've got to talk to him.
About what?
Well, everything.
No, Liz.
He is a sweet old man, I know, and he's so enthusiastic. But Ben, he has a whim of iron.
Well, he's just trying to be helpful.
He rearranged my linen closet this afternoon.
Did a good job, I bet.
Oh, yes, it's very neat, very efficient. But it's not the way I have my linen closet.
I know, Liz, but it really isn't very important, is
Ben, I have a perfect right to have my linen closet the way I want it.
It seems so trivial.
It is. That's what makes it important.
That's ridiculous.
No, it isn't, Ben. The way we do things belongs to us. It makes our family. My illogical linen closet is very precious to me.
Well, I can't tell Father that. I wouldn't know how to put it.
Put it some way.
It was only for 3 weeks.
Ben.
All right. All right, I'll talk to him. Tomorrow? You see, Father, I don't quite know how to put this. We've always been rather relaxed about things. We've been flexible.
I've noticed that, Ben. You were like that when you were a boy.
Was I?
Oh, yes. You always used to have your knickers down around your ankles.
My.
Refused to wear garters. Pull up your trouser leg.
What? Oh, trouser leg.
I thought so. Still no garters.
Well, I don't really need them, Father. I mean, these are rib-topped socks.
Garters are a mark of a careful and prudent man.
Father, I don't use...
I'll buy you a pair tomorrow.
Father, I want to talk to you about, well, the whole question of our family routine.
I thought you'd want to talk about that, Benjamin. I enjoy helping you children. I'm glad I'm still needed. I think I'll run out and get those garters tonight. You can wear them to the office tomorrow.
Ben, did you talk to him?
Yes, I talked to him.
Well, what happened?
I have to wear garters. We lived through the week. Liz rebelled about Thursday breakfast and brewed herself a cup of coffee strong enough to tan leather. I suppose I was avoiding the issue, but I thought it was selfish to object to, well, so many little things. So I sipped my cocoa, straightened my garters, and went off to work. Friday night, things came to a head. Liz was in supervising Pete's bath.
All right, Emily, I'm ready now. I have the books all laid out on the dining room table.
What books, Grandpa?
Tonight we'll review factoring and...
Oh, no, Grandpa. Tonight's Friday night.
Yes, I know.
Well, I don't study on Friday night.
We agree to have our little drills every weeknight.
Well, not Friday.
Friday is still in the week.
But really nice.
The sooner we get to it, Emily, the sooner it'll be over.
Well, there's somebody... Well, Bobby Logan's coming over. He's already half an hour late.
Is that a tall boy, about 6'2", something like a whooping crane?
That's Bobby.
You see, I couldn't possibly have a geometry lesson tonight, Grandpa. He'll be here any minute.
He's already been here, about 35 minutes ago. You were showering, I believe. He went away.
He went away? Well, he couldn't.
We had a pleasant little chat.
Grandpa, what did you tell him?
I pointed out that you had a prior obligation to our little mathematical sessions. He seemed to be a very understanding boy. He said he didn't realize you thought geometry was that important.
Oh, no. Grandpa, you didn't. Not really.
Now, don't worry about it, my dear. I'm sure he understood the value of sticking to regular study schedules and respects you for it. Now, factoring.
Daddy. Daddy. Didn't you hear? Daddy, he sent Bobby away. I had a date. Oh, Grandpa, how could you?
Now, Emily, I think you're making quite a fuss over nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. You didn't have any right to do that. It isn't fair. Daddy!
I think we'd better start our little lesson.
You didn't have any right to send Bobby away. You don't have any right to make me do geometry on Friday night.
Emily, I have 10 problems set up. We might as well get to them.
No. No, I won't do any more geometry. I won't.
I think you'll have to stay in the house this weekend until you do.
You can't do that to me.
Now, let's get started.
You can't do that. You're not my father.
Emily.
Daddy, you can't do that. It isn't fair.
Now, listen, Emily. It's just a date. There'll be others. You see Bobby every day at school. Why don't you just do the problem?
No. No, I won't. Grandpa, you can't make me stay in the house. Daddy, you know it isn't fair. Daddy.
Emily, it really wouldn't take you very long to do the problem.
But it just isn't fair. You can't do that to me, can he?
If Grandfather said, I think you'll have to stay in if you don't. I mean...
Oh, Daddy, it isn't fair. It isn't fair, and you know it. You wouldn't do that to me. What's happened to you, Daddy?
Don't worry, Benjamin. Discipline is a hard thing to enforce, but it's necessary. Emily is a fine child, basically.
She was right. I wouldn't do that to her.
In time, a child learns.
It wasn't fair to humiliate her in front of Bobby and then punish her for protesting.
The most important thing is the sense of values. First things first. In our family, children have always learned to follow order and regulation.
This isn't your family, Father. It's mine. I'm Emily's father.
Of course, Benjamin. That's why I'm glad to see you being firm. Too many
Father,
parents...
you never will listen to me, will you? You never have. Well, you've got to now. You can't do this anymore. You can't make everything go your way. I tried to tell myself that it was trivial, that it wasn't important, but it is. I can't let you run Emily's life, or mine. I let it go on too long. Habit, I guess, but it's a habit we'd better break right now. Father, I'm sorry. Emily will not stay in this weekend, and she will not do those geometry problems because it isn't fair, and we don't handle our children that way.
Benjamin, drill and study never hurt a child, and firm discipline is necessary.
Oh, yes, of course. Sometimes you learn some very important things. Necessity is the argument of tyrants. William Pitt the Younger, 1779 to 1806. And rebellion to tyranny is obedience to God. Thomas Jefferson, 1743 to something or other. You remember those, Father? 2 of your 100 cardinal facts. I'm afraid that I forgot them for a moment.
Benny, I didn't mean to hurt Emily.
I know, Father, I'm sorry. It isn't your fault, really. You shouldn't have to change. It was up to me.
Ben, really, I'm a little confused. Was I too harsh on the child? Sometimes I forget, you know.
I know, Father. You love the kids, and they love you.
I didn't realize. I wanted to be helpful. Excuse me.
Wait a minute, Father. I think you'd better wait.
Emily.
Maybe you better let her alone for a while.
Emily, I have come to apologize.
You have?
I'm afraid I didn't understand. I'm told I had no right to send that boy away. If you like, I'll write a note of explanation.
A note? To Bobby?
Further, I'm afraid I enjoyed teaching again more than you enjoyed learning. On reflection, I believe I had no right to punish you. I apologize.
That's all right, Grandpa.
Emily, I thought I was helping you. It's very hard for an old man to realize that he isn't in charge. You see, for all those years, I had all the children in the school, and you aren't really angry with me, are you?
No, it just wasn't fair. It wasn't anything personal, Grandpa.
Thank you, Emily. Well, if it'll do any good, I'll go down to the drugstore and bring back a quart of ice cream.
Ice cream! Yay!
You know, we can hear that through 4 doors.
I'll heat up the coffee. I'll make cocoa.
Elizabeth, I'll have coffee.
Coffee, I'm told, goes very well with ice cream.
All right. Coffee.
Good. And, Elizabeth.
Yes?
While you're heating the coffee pot, perhaps there's room on the burners for a small saucepan of milk?
Of course there is.
Perhaps a little honey, a stamped teaspoon?
Milk and honey. I'll be glad to.
Just float the egg yolk on top.
Egg yolk?
Separate it, of course. You can use the whites for meringue. You like meringue, I hope.
We'll learn to like it, Father.
That's good. I don't want to be any trouble at all.
Ben and Liz Marriott will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, let us extend an invitation on behalf of our stars, Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin, as well as the National Broadcasting Company, to all of you to drop by next week at this time for another half-hour observation and transcription of The Marriage, written by Ernest Kenoy, with Denise Alexander heard as Emily, David Pepper as Pete, and Edwin Jerome as Father Marriott. To those of you who have been so generous in writing, either to the network or to the stars, to express your appreciation of The Marriage, Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin extend warm thanks.
Tonight, Joan Fontaine stars at NBC Star Playhouse on the NBC Radio Network.
The Jell-O program, starring Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Kenny Baker, and yours truly, Don Wilson. The orchestra opens the program with Confidentially. When I was a kid spending the summer in the country, my grandfather used to tell me about the country stores when he was a boy. He said he'd sit on a sack of flour and swing his bare legs while his mother argued with the storekeeper. Seems there wasn't a thing she'd take his word for, from a dill pickle to a barrel of crackers. And good old Grandpop said it was sure something to listen to those arguments. Well, things have certainly changed. Today, there's no ground for an argument. When you go into a grocery store, you find packaged foods with brand names you recognize as your guarantee of quality. For instance, when you see the word Jell-O on a package, you know that here is a fine product, the real thing. Because that very name, Jell-O, is a trademark. It's the property of General Foods. If you hear any other gelatin dessert called Jell-O, that's incorrect, for there is no other Jell-O. And remember, Jell-O brings you that extra rich flavor, as tempting and refreshing as the real ripe fruit. So always ask your grocer for Jell-O. And, by the way, this week, the National Association of Retail Grocers are holding their annual convention. And we want to send them congratulations and best wishes from Jell-O, America's favorite gelatin dessert. Confidentially played by the orchestra. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this being Father's Day, we bring you a man who is daddy to a polar bear, Jack Benny.
Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking, and Don, you're right. I do take rather a paternal attitude toward Carmichael. You know, that animal is like a child of mine. He's so affectionate.
You're really very fond of him, aren't you, Jack?
I certainly am. Believe me, we're going to have a lot of fun this summer on our trip to Alaska.
Oh, are you taking Carmichael to Alaska?
Yes, he has relatives in Skagway. 2 uncles and a sister-in-law, I believe. Huh? By the way, Don, what are you going to do on your vacation?
Well, I haven't planned very much, Jack, but let me tell you something. When you see me next season, you're due for a big surprise.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm going on a diet this summer and take off 10 pounds.
My.
You'll never know me.
Don, you could take 10 pounds off your lower lip and nobody would know. Now, when you go on a diet, you ought to try and take off about 50 or 60 pounds. Why, you'd even feel better.
Jack, this may surprise you, but I'm not as fat as you think. What appears to be fat is really muscle.
Oh.
My stomach, for instance, is as solid as the Rock of Gibraltar.
Oh, it is. Well, Don, I saw you playing golf the other day in nothing but a pair of shorts, and Gibraltar was out of bounds. What a physique.
Say, Jack.
Yes, Phil?
I wouldn't talk about Don's figure if I were you. I've seen you around your swimming pool, and you're no Adonis in a bathing suit.
Oh, I'm not, eh?
Your chest caves in, your stomach sticks out, and your legs look like they were tired of it all.
Well, Phil, you don't even have to get undressed to lose a beauty contest. You know, your nose looks like a pack mule with those bags hanging down each side. And by the way, have you got your other bag packed for Waukegan? You know, we're leaving tonight right after the broadcast.
I'm all set, Jackson.
Gee, I can hardly wait to see all my old friends and pals. Yeah, I'm excited as a kid all week thinking about it.
I can imagine. Where are we going to live when we get there, Jack?
Well, you fellas are going to stay at the Hotel Waukegan. You stopped there last summer, didn't you, Phil?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll love it, Don. It's a swell hotel, very modern.
Go on, they got a house detective there with a bow and arrow.
Is that so?
And if you're not downstairs by 7 a.m., they send a maid up to see if you're dead.
Well, that's because Waukegan is a wide-awake town. Everybody gets up early.
Are you going to live at the hotel, Jack?
Well, I'm not sure, Don. I'll probably stay with relatives. I don't know whether to live at Aunt Clara's or Aunt Molly's or Cousin Sudie's. They're all so anxious to entertain me.
Well, which one is the closest to town?
Aunt Molly. She lives right over the elite Turkish baths. As a matter of fact, she's a rubber there. Oh, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jack. Oh, say, Jack, I just got a wire from Mom, and she won't be able to meet us in Waukegan.
Well, I'm just sick about that. What did your mother say?
She says that, dear Mary, we'll be unable to take the train to Waukegan, and your grandfather, who is off the beam again, cut paper dolls out of the tickets.
No. Well, maybe you can go to Plainfield afterwards and visit your mother and father. By the way, Mary, this is Father's Day. Did you send your dad anything?
I sure did. I sent Papa some cufflinks and studs for his dress shirt.
Dress shirt? Well, your father never wore a full dress suit in his life.
He does now. He got a job with an escort service.
Oh, fine.
Now, when he takes Mama to the movies, he charges her 60 cents an hour.
Well, it's worth it to go out with her. Anyway, Mary, I'm glad you remembered your father. That was a sweet thought.
Not only that, I sent him the cutest card with it, and I made up the words myself.
You did? What was it?
Oh, Daddy dear, I send you cufflinks with good cheer. And when you hawk them, which you'll do, if you can't get 5, go ahead, take 2.
Well, that's a lovely sentiment. He'll probably take advantage of it.
Say, Jack, I sent a present to my father down in Tennessee that he'll be crazy about. I sent him a vacation outfit.
A vacation outfit?
Yeah, a hammock, a jug, and a fly swatter.
Well, he's all set for the summer. What does your father do in the winter, Phil?
Same thing, only we give him a blanket.
Well, that's the life, I suppose. Take it easy and don't worry about anything. You know, it's kind of nice that Dad gets a break once a year. I sent my father a pair of leggings.
Oh, is he still with Western Union?
He wears them when he goes horseback riding.
Say, Jack, you know what I sent my father for a present?
Yes, Don, I know how many flavors it has, so don't get cute.
Hello, Jack.
Oh, hiya, Kenny. Say, Kenny, you all set to leave for Waukegan? You know, we're going right after the broadcast.
Oh, sure. I got my suitcase downstairs on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk? Well, for heaven's sake, bring it in. Somebody's liable to steal it.
Well, don't worry. Nobody will touch my suitcase.
How do you know?
I printed J. Edgar Hoover on it.
Well, that's very clever, Kitty. How'd you ever happen to figure that?
Oh, Kid Baker has a flash once in a while.
You have it there. Now, Kenny, when we get to Waukegan, I want you to be on your best behavior and make a good impression. You know, I don't want you whistling at the girls like you do here.
Can I wink at them?
No. You can't whistle and you can't wink, so watch yourself. And now, folks...
Can I wiggle my ears?
No. You won't show off at all. I want everybody in Waukegan to say, now there's a nice boy. And now, folks...
I'd rather have them run me out of town.
Kenny. I don't want to hear another word about it. And now, folks, we will have a song by our fresh young tenor who's going to get his canoe paddled if he doesn't watch out. Now, go ahead. Hold it a minute. Come in.
Mr. Benny?
Yes?
I just dropped in to wish you a very pleasant trip to Waukegan and to tell you that I'll miss you while you're gone.
Well, thanks very much. Well, what are you standing there for?
Ain't you going to kiss me goodbye?
No, I'm not. Get out of here. He's the most affectionate lunatic I ever met. Sing, Kenny.
Darling, why should you cling to some faded thing that used to be? If you can forget, don't worry about me. This is the one moment that I thought I never could live through. But now somehow that it's here, my dear, that police fear has gone away. And saying goodbye seems sweet. It's plain that fate didn't want us on a one-way street. Don't worry about me, I'll get along. Forget about me, be happy, my love. Let's say that our little show is over and so the story ends. Why not call it a day, a sensible way, and still be friends? Look out for yourself, could be the rule. Give your heart and your love to whomever you love. Don't be a fool. Darling, why should you cling to some faded thing that you if you can forget, don't worry about me.
That was Don't Worry About Me, sung by Kenny Baker. And, Kenny, before I forget, I saw your picture, the Mikado, last night, and I thought you were swell in it. You look great in Technicolor.
Oh, I thought I was too darn pretty.
Well, that oughtn't to worry you. Good looks never hurt anybody. At least it's never hurt me.
Can I say something, Jack?
No. Anyway, the Mikado was a swell picture, Kenny, and you were grand in it.
The Mikado. Say, that's a Western, ain't it?
That was our musical director, folks. Phil, for your information, the Mikado is one of the most famous operettas ever written.
No kidding.
You're a fine musician, Phil. For you to pick up a baton and lead an orchestra is perjury.
Why, Jack Benny, you didn't know what the Mikado was yourself until you saw the picture.
I didn't know what the Mikado was? Why, Mary Livingston, before we went into the theater, I told you it was an Oriental story.
You told me Charlie Chan was in it, too.
All right, so I made one little mistake. But Phil has no excuse. He's supposed to have studied music.
That studying don't mean nothing. Why, some of our greatest musical geniuses never studied music.
Name one.
Abe Lyman.
Oh, fine. Lyman is worse than you are. He directs his boys with a rawhide whip. You know, funny thing about you and Lyman, Phil, you both started out as drummers, and now you both have your own orchestras.
Proving what?
Proving hooray for the red, white, and blue. It could only happen here. That's what.
Oh, Jack, why do you criticize other musicians? You took violin lessons for 12 years, and all you can play is Love and Bloom.
All I can play is Love and Bloom. What's the matter with Thanks for the Memory? What's the matter with Deep Purple?
Nothing until you start sawing on them.
Listen, Mary, your opinion doesn't matter very much. If you want to know something, I've been complimented by Heifetz.
Heifetz? Why, Heifetz doesn't even know you're alive.
He does, too, because he tried to shoot me once. It was at the Penn Theater in Wilkes-Barre. So don't be so smart. You know, I don't like to pat myself on the back all the time, but there's one instrument I've really mastered. Well, I can make a violin talk.
You certainly can, Jack.
Thanks, Don.
Why, many's the time I've heard your violin say, I'm proud to snuggle under the chin of a man who works for Jell-O.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Because Jell-O is economical, easy to make, and comes in 6 delicious flavors. Strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
You mean my violin even knows the flavor?
Yes, sir.
Well, isn't that amazing?
This stuff is strictly for the kids.
It's pretty subtle, Baker, so go and sit down. And now, ladies and gentlemen, going from my talking violin to our last play of the season, tonight, the Benny Run Do Not Walk to the Nearest Exit players will present for your amusement, approval, and edification that stirring melodrama of the gay 90s, Lavender and Old Louse. Now, I will play Lavender, and our maestro will be the rest of the title. Now, in this play, I'll take it. Hello?
Hello, boss. This is Rochester.
All right, what do you want?
Well, I just finished pressing your clothes for the trip, and I don't think you ought to take your white flannels with you.
Why not?
Well, you know that trouble I have with the toast every morning.
Yes?
Well, the same thing happened to your flannels, only I
Rochester, did you burn a hole in my new white flannels?
It ain't my fault, boss. It's that cheap material.
Cheap material? What are you talking about? I paid $45 for those pants.
$45?
Yes.
Is this you, boss?
Yes, it's me. And don't act so surprised. By the way, is Carmichael all ready?
I think you're making a mistake taking that polar bear to Waukegan.
Well, I'm not going to leave him in the house by himself for 2 weeks. He'll get lonely.
Why don't you rug him?
Rug him? Rochester, I'm getting tired of these constant threats against Carmichael. Now put him in that big packing box and take him to the station.
I can't put him in that box, boss.
Why not?
I'm talking from there now.
You're in the packing case? Well, for heaven's sake, where's Carmichael?
He's sitting on the lid.
Oh, my goodness.
If I had a long pin, I'd dethrone him.
Oh, stop playing with that animal and finish packing. And by the way, Rochester, I'm taking my violin with me, so don't forget it.
Doggone, I looked high and low for that fiddle, and I can't find it nowhere.
Oh, well, I suppose it never occurred to you to look in my violin case.
I did, boss.
Well?
There ain't nothing there but 4 strings and a fat termite.
Now, don't give me that. The violin is around someplace. Now, get everything together. My trunks, bags, Carmichael, violin, and hurry down to the station.
Okay. Can I take a taxi?
What's the matter? Have the buses stopped running? Now, hang up and get going.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Doggone, if I could get $3 a head, I'd quit this job.
What? What did you say?
Didn't I hang up?
No, you didn't.
Well, here goes. So long, boss.
The guy is always complaining. Never saw such a guy. Now he wants to ride in taxicab. Oh, well. Getting back to our play, the opening scene...
Say, Jack, I don't think we're going to be able to do our play tonight. Look what time it is.
Oh, yes. The train leaves in about 40 minutes, and we got to get downtown.
Where do we leave from?
The new Union Station. Phil, have you got your car here?
Yeah, I'll have my guitar player run us down.
Oh, you mean Happy Bolivar? Oh, that's swell. Come on, Mary, we'll be late.
Well, wait a minute. I got to kiss the orchestra goodbye.
Put down that piano player and come on. So long, boys. See you at the station.
So long, Jack. So long. Hit it, man.
Stick close to me, everybody. I don't want anyone missing the train. I'll call the roll. John Wilson?
Here.
Mary Livingston?
Oh, Jack, stop acting like a scoutmaster.
Well, I'm trying to be systematic.
Hey, Kenny, get a load of that blonde. Wow, what a doll.
Ain't she something? Hiya, babe.
Hello, Kenny.
Why, Kenny, do you know her?
Yeah, that's my Aunt Rosie.
Well, she ain't my aunt. Wait a minute, Rosie.
Bill, come back here. You'll miss the train. Oh, Don, take a look around, see if you can find Andy in Rochester.
Okay, Jack.
See, I don't know where they are.
All aboard. Train leaving on track 3 for Santa Monica, Santa Clara, Santa Anita, Santa Barbara, and Santa present to your dad is Father's Day.
Well, he's a topical announcer, I'll say that. Hey, Kenny, where's your suitcase?
Somebody stole it.
Somebody stole it? Well, that's awful. What are you going to wear on the train tonight? You haven't got pajamas or anything.
I'll lend him a pair of my pajamas, Jack.
Just give him the uppers, Don. He can use it for a nightgown.
And tie a bell around his neck. He might get lost.
Yeah.
Oh, this is too complicated. I'll sleep raw.
Sleep any way you want to. I don't care. Say, Mary, I'm going over and buy the tickets. I haven't got them yet.
Okay, Jack. I'm going to get some magazines. Meet me here.
All right. Well, let's see. Where's the ticket window? Oh, here it is. Pardon me, I'd like to buy 7 tickets to Waukegan.
Waukegan, that's in Asia Minor, isn't it?
No, it's in Illinois. I want 7 round-trip tickets to Waukegan, Illinois.
Why don't you buy one way? You might like it there.
I know I'll like it there. It's my hometown. But I got to come back here. I'm in pictures.
So was I, and look at me now.
Well, that's your tough luck. Now, hurry up. I got to make a train.
Okay, here you are.
And, oh, yes, I want berths. I want 4 uppers and 3 lowers.
Well, you know, the lowers are higher than the uppers.
I know. I did that in vaudeville 20 years ago. So don't start that routine. Just give me the berth.
Here you are.
Thanks. See what a guy.
Have a nice trip, Deadpan.
Deadpan, he wants me to laugh yet.
All aboard. Train leaving on track 16 for Louisville and Bowling Green, Nashville, Knoxville, Vicksburg 2, and all points south on the choo-choo-choo.
That guy has more fun than the Ritz brothers. Now, let's see, where's the magazine stand? Oh, there's Mary now. Hey, Mary.
Yeah?
Did you get your magazine?
Uh-huh. I got Look, Pick, Click, and Cluck.
Oh, Cluck, that's that new one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got Kenny Baker's picture on the cover.
Well, that ought to sell 1 million copies. Come on back there with me, Mary. I want to get a book.
Okay.
I want to get something light. A good mystery or something.
Why don't you get Ferdinand the Bull?
Ferdinand the Bull isn't a mystery.
He is to the other bulls.
I'll pick out my own book. Now, here we are.
How do you do, sir?
Now, how do you do? I'd like to get a book, please. A real good mystery story.
Yes, sir. Have you read Phil Harris and his gang or Murder at the Wilshire Bowl?
No, but I get what you mean.
Say, Jack, here's a swell book, and it's a special.
A special? What is it?
The rains came and an umbrella for $2.50.
Oh, that's by Louis Bromfield. He's a little too deep for me. Say, buddy, what's your best seller here?
Well, our most popular book is Twin Infiltration by Chesterton Jr.
Funny, I never heard of that.
Why, it's very popular. He also wrote Twin Infiltration and the Life of Amos
Oh, never mind. Come on, Mary.
Wait a minute. Why don't you take this one, Jack?
What's that?
Ralph Lamb did it by George P. Slumphum.
Don't you start that stuff. Hey, buddy, just give me a Saturday Evening Post.
There you are.
Come on, Mary, let's go.
Goodbye. Any kind for
I meet the most unusual people. I wish Rochester would get here. He's making me very nervous. There's Don Wilson. Oh, Don.
That's the information booth.
I mean next to it.
Pardon me, mister.
No, now what?
Can you tell me what time the airplane leaves here for San Francisco?
Airplane? I'm afraid you're going to have a little trouble, buddy. Airplanes don't leave from a railroad station.
Oh, you're one of those wise guys that knows everything.
I'm not a wise guy, but I know you can't take an airplane from a railroad station.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Board, airplane leaving on track 8. Bakersfield, Salinas, Oakland, and San Francisco. Board!
What? You see, you big smarty.
Oh, go pin your hair up. Fresh guy.
Well, Jack, I found Andy. Here he is.
Hiya, bud.
Well, Andy, I was worried about you. Gee, you got a lot of friends at the station. Are you all excited about going to Waukegan with us?
Yeah, but gee, I'm scared. I've never been on a train before.
Well, you'll get a big kick out of it. Did you bring your pajamas?
Pajamas? Doggone, can you sleep on a train?
Why, of course, certainly.
Well, I'll be darned. Can you eat, too?
Yeah, Jack brought sandwiches.
One more crack and you won't get any. Where am I? Oh. Now, let's get over it. Hate to miss my place at the station. Now, let's get over to the gate.
How long does it take to go to Waukegan anyway?
Well, Andy, we'll be on the train for 2 whole days and 2 nights.
We will?
Yep.
Say, Buck, do they have...
Yes, don't worry. You'll be all right.
Well, what are we going to Waukegan for anyway?
Well, Andy, we're going to do our last broadcast from there. And besides, we're going to have the premiere of that new Paramount picture, Man About Town.
Starring Jack Benny. Get it all in.
Never mind. Hey, Phil, stick around here, will you? I don't want to have to look for you.
Okay, Papa.
Yeah, I wish Rochester would get here. The train will be pulling out in a few minutes.
Well, it's your own fault, making him look all over the house for that violin. Why do you want to take it to Waukegan anyway?
Because my old violin teacher, Charlie Lindsay, will be at the premiere. And I want to show everybody in Waukegan what he's done for me.
Well, that's the dirtiest trick I ever heard of.
Yeah, well, I'm going to practice every day on the train.
Oh, Greyhound, where is thy depot?
Phil, if you don't like it, you can stay home.
All aboard. Train leaving on track 7 for Grub Hollow, Possum Junction, Squirrel Center, Beaver Creek, Mud City, and Waukegan.
Oh, my goodness, there's our train, and Rochester isn't here yet.
Yeah, I am, boy.
Well, it's about time. You got all the stuff with you?
Yep, trunk, bag, violin, and everything.
Good. Where's Carmichael?
He's buying the tickets.
I bought the tickets already. Carmichael, come here. Come on, gang, let's go.
Okay, Jack.
Say, Rochester, I'm afraid to put Carmichael in the baggage car. He'll have to share a compartment with you.
I don't want that animal in with me. He snores.
Oh, what's the difference? You're only going to be on the train 2 nights.
Well, if he snores the first night, the second night you can get a piece of him in the dining car.
You lay a hand on him and I'll...
Hurry up, Jack. The train's leaving.
I'm coming.
It's not true that nobody does anything about the weather. We've done something about it. We have the perfect recipe for those hot, sultry nights when nobody feels like eating. Jellied fruit made with shimmering, fruit-rich lemon jello, and here's what you do. Dissolve 1 package of lemon jello in 1 pint of hot water and chill until slightly thickened. Then fold in 1 can of fruit salad cut into small pieces. Mold until firm and serve as dessert or salad, either one. It's swell. Delicious lemon jello with that wonderful extra-rich fruit flavor so tangy and tempting and cool. And molded firmly inside the colorful fruit, peaches and pears, cherries and apricots shining through the golden jello. It's grand to look at and to eat and easy to make. So ask your grocer tomorrow for some lemon jello and try this new summer recipe, jellied fruit.
That was the last number of the 38th program in the new Jello series. And we will be with you again next Sunday night at the same time, broadcasting from my hometown, Waukegan, Illinois. Well, Andy, are you thrilled being on a train for the first time?
I sure am, but say, Buck, ain't it dangerous going through that Indian country?
Oh, no, Andy. I've been through it 100 times, and I haven't been scalped once.
You'd never know it.
Is that so? Good night, folks.
The challenge of the Yukon. On King! On you Husky! The Wonder Dog King, swiftest and strongest of Eskimo lead dogs, blazes the trail through storm and snow for Sergeant Preston as he meets the challenge of the Yukon. Sergeant Preston was typical of the small band of Northwest Mounted Police who preserved law and order in a new Northwest country where the greed for wealth and power led to frequent violence and bloodshed. But in spite of the odds against him, Sergeant Preston and his Wonder Dog King met that challenge, and justice ruled triumphant. Father Donovan had just arrived in Selkirk. He was a big man with merry blue eyes that twinkled a bit as he talked to Dan Riley in the lobby of the Gold Nugget Hotel.
Don't worry, Riley. We men of the church are used to rough living. We aren't made of glass.
Well, I thought a word of warning to you wouldn't hurt. The average prospector ain't exactly a plaster saint.
Well, even though a man may forget the church for a while, he may sometimes feel the need of God. John O'Rourke must have felt it, leaving $30,000 to establish a mission in Dawson.
He owned the Horseshoe Bar. Religion was the last thing you'd have connected him with. And then he leaves the church $30,000.
Mercy on us, what's that?
Oh, probably just a fight. There's a saloon just 2 doors down. It ain't unusual. Come on, let's see what happens.
Shot Jake West. Where does Buck go? I don't know.
What happened, boys?
Jake West has been shot. Look out, everybody. Get away from Jake. That's his lead dog.
Be careful of that husky. He's vicious.
He's standing over Jake. We're going to have to shoot him if we want to get Jake out of there.
He won't let nobody near him. Jake's unconscious. Might as well shoot Jake if you shoot Lobo. Jake thinks more of the animal than he does himself.
Makes no difference. If we don't shoot that dog, we can't get near Jake. He'll bleed to death if he don't freeze first. I'm going to plug him.
Wait a moment. Maybe I can help.
Who are you?
This is Father Donovan. He just came to Selkirk.
Oh, sorry, Father.
I know how to handle dogs. Perhaps I can get him away.
But Lobo's a vicious husky, Father. He'll tear you to pieces.
Don't take a chance, Father. I'll shoot him.
Let me try first.
Father Donovan, no.
I'm not afraid. Steady, Lobo. We can't let your master lie here in the snow. Come now, boy. We're not going to hurt him.
Dog will take his hand off.
All right, Lobo. You see, here's my hand open to you. Now, you see, I'm not hurting you. I won't hurt your master. Come, boy. Get off him. Let me take hold of your collar. Now, boy. Steady. Come on, this way, fella.
He's getting him off.
Well, I never seen anything like that.
Only one other man could do that. Sergeant Preston.
Come on, Lobo. Come along. We'll let you get back to him when it's time. All right, boys. Carry the man into the hotel. I'll hold this dog.
All right, Father.
Jake's hurt bad, ain't he?
Bad enough. Buck James better not show his face around this part of the country after doing that.
Buck James had headed north. His goal, a small cabin isolated well off the trail near Dawson.
His provisions were running low, and he paced the floor nervously on the third night of his hiding out.
What the...
Yes, Buck. Let me in. Let me in, Buck.
Pierce, how'd you know I was here?
Where else could you be? That's where you always head after any trouble. I brought some grub.
How's Jake West? Is he... Did I...
You didn't kill him, but it was close.
Yeah, it's too bad I didn't finish him.
Well, you would have if it hadn't been for an old padre who happened to be there. He saved Jake's life. Doc was out of town.
Padre?
Yeah, he's going to Dawson. Some prospector up there left him $30,000 to start a mission.
$30,000?
Yeah, can you imagine that?
When's he starting to Dawson?
He was leaving the day after I left. He'll be coming by in a day or so.
With $30,000, we could head for the border.
Well, of course, Buck, he is a priest.
What's the difference? We're watching that trail, starting tomorrow. Father Donovan, a gun held on him, faced Buck James and Pierce Reed quietly in the small cabin.
I told you I have no money on me. I said what's in this purse.
Sure he ain't wearing a money belt, Pierce?
Sure, I searched him. He ain't got it on him.
All right, Padre. How about the money to start the mission in Dawson? Where is it?
So that's why you've done this. Well, boys, I have lots of faith in human nature, and I'm not a timid man. But I know better than to go around this country carrying that much money. It's waiting for me in Dawson.
Dawson?
Yes, we ordered it held there. So now if you let me be on my
no,
way...
you don't. Sit down. We ain't through with you.
But, Buck...
I ain't letting him go and have him squeal on us the minute he gets to Dawson.
But I don't know who you are. There are many men in the Yukon with black beards and blue eyes like yours.
We shouldn't have done this, Buck.
My beard. Nobody'd guess if I shaved it off.
What are you talking about?
Nobody knows the Padre here. Nobody in Dawson knows me. I'm changing clothes with him, Pierce, shaving off my beard. With the papers he's carrying, my collar turned around like his, I can still get my hands on that $30,000.
Buck, are you loco?
With the same size, his clothes will fit me. You're staying here to guard him, Pierce. I'm going to Dawson. After I get my hands on the money, I'll come back and we'll finish him off. As Sergeant Preston talked to Dan Riley in Selkirk, his big lead dog King sat beside him, his head on the Mounties' knee.
I wish you could have got here in time to meet Father Donovan, Sergeant. You and him would have had a lot in common with your love for dogs.
He must know a lot about them, Dan, to handle Lobo the way he did.
He told me afterwards that a dog can sense fear in a man. You're afraid he can smell it.
That's true. A dog knows the scent of fear. King hates it. I've seen him growl and bristle at strangers for that reason alone.
Father Donovan loves dogs, and they seem to know it.
Oh?
He has a grand sense of humor. He said he was as much veterinarian in his last parish as he was a priest. All the kids used to bring their dogs to him for repairs, and he mended as many animals as he did souls.
Too bad I didn't get here a day earlier. I have to go up to Dawson. I could have taken him with me.
Now, you be sure and look him up when you get there. He's the kind of man you'd like, broad-minded, kind, and understanding. Ideal for the job he's planning to do.
I'm leaving for Dawson tomorrow. I'll make it a point to meet him. I'd like to see what he thinks of King. Hello, Jane.
Sergeant Preston, welcome to Dawson. We have not seen you for a long time. Hello, King.
How's business, Jane?
Oh, there is always too much at these trading posts.
I hear Dawson's going to have a mission. Did Father Donovan get here all right?
He is here. You know him?
No, but I hear he's a fine man.
Oh?
You don't sound too enthusiastic. Don't you like him?
Well, me, I don't like to say nothing bad about man of God, but, well, everybody is, disappointed.
Disappointed?
He is silent man. Solemn. I never see him smile.
Is he planning to build the mission right away?
He asked me to give him the $30,000 John O'Rourke has left. Tomorrow he will move from the hotel to his cabin. Then he will take it.
I'd like to meet him. I think I'll go over to the hotel. Come on, King. I'll be back later, Pierre.
Yes?
Father Donovan?
Yes.
I'm Sergeant Preston, Northwest Mounted.
What do you want?
Why, Dan Riley in Selkirk told me to look you up here in Dawson.
Oh. Oh, yes, yes. Come in.
Come on, King. King, what's the matter with you? Quiet, King. Well, I hope you'll excuse him, Father Donovan. I don't know what ails him.
Well, would you mind putting him out, Sergeant? I'm not used to these huskies you have here in the Yukon.
But I thought... Oh, of course. Come on, King. You wait out here in the hall, fellow.
I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all, Father. I suppose being a priest, you're not used to dogs.
That's right. We're too busy with our church duties to have time for pets.
I see.
Sit down, Sergeant.
Thank you. I can't stay. I just dropped in to say hello.
You, going to be in town long?
No, just passing through.
Oh, I see.
Guess you'll have quite a big job here in Dawson, Father.
Yes, it will be hard. Trying to close the saloons and stop gambling won't be easy.
And it will be dangerous. Perhaps I'd better stay around for a while.
That won't be necessary. I don't intend to start until after the mission is completed. How often do you make this patrol?
I'll be back in about a month, Father. Well, I'd better get going. Have to get some sleep. I want to pull out in the morning.
Well, it was nice meeting you, Sergeant, and stop and see me the next time you come to Dawson.
I'm sure we'll meet again, Father Donovan.
You are back so soon, Sergeant? You did not make very long visits.
No, I had a little trouble with King. He didn't seem to like the new padre.
Oh? And you, what did you think of him?
Well, like you, Gene, I was disappointed. You say he's moving into a cabin tomorrow?
Wait, it belonged to Tom Jacobs at the edge of town.
Oh, yes, I know where that is.
Sergeant, maybe you can tell him that is a lonely place. Better he should leave this money here and safe.
No, Gene, I think you'd better give him the money. After all, he has the right to do what he pleases with it.
Well, maybe with you here in town, it is safe.
I'm leaving, Gene.
But, Sergeant, you are leaving?
Or something rather urgent's come up. I'll see you in a few days. Come on, King.
Sergeant Preston, his lead dog King, at his side, lay concealed in a thicket that topped a small knoll overlooking the cabin that had been rented by the man thought to be Father Donovan. The early darkness had fallen, but a bright moon lighted up the clearing. Suddenly, King's ears pricked forward, and a low growl rumbled in his throat as a figure stole out of the cabin door.
Quiet, boy. Not a sound. There he goes. No, King. Down. We're following later. Steady. Let him get ahead.
Pierce yawned as he watched Father Donovan, who sat near the stove, deep in thought.
It's way past bedtime, Father Donovan. Now put your hands behind you. I'm tying you up.
It was nice of you, Pierce, to free my hands for a while. They were getting numb.
Where'd I put that rope? Bark! I didn't hear you coming. Did you get the money?
Yeah. Start packing right away. We're leaving.
What about the Padre here?
There's only one thing to do.
I don't like murder, Buck.
It ain't a question of what you like. Well, Father, I guess it's the end. You want to take it standing up or sitting down?
Standing up. And looking right at you.
Think that'll make it tough for me, do you? Nah, it'll just make it easier to hit you between the eyes.
Got that gun. Get him,
Hey, what the... No!
Oh, you don't.
All right, King, back, fella. I've got his gun. Now get up, you. Watch him, boy.
You're a Murphy.
Yes. And you must be Father Donovan.
I am.
I wasn't sure, Father. That wallop you gave Pierce. I didn't think a priest could hit like
He was
that.
about to shoot your dog. Sometimes even the church finds force necessary.
Well, if you hadn't hit Pierce, I'd have had to shoot him. You saved his life.
And you saved mine. You and that dog.
That dirty cur.
Quiet, you. It was because of King, Father Donovan, that I knew this man to be a fraud. I hoped, by following him, that he'd lead me to you. King had no trouble in trailing him.
He looks like a wonderful animal.
You'll find that he is, Father, when you know him better. All right, boy, I'll take charge of the prisoner. You go on over and get acquainted with Father Donovan.
These copyrighted dramas originate in the studios of WXYZ Detroit, and all characters, names, places, and incidents used are fictitious. They are sent to you each week at the same time and reach you from our transcription studios. Hal Neal speaking. This is the Michigan Radio Network.
One Man's Family, brought to you by the makers of Fleischmann's Yeast and Royal Puddings. One Man's Family begins its 16th year in radio today by rededicating itself to the American home and to the mothers and fathers of the younger generation and to their bewildering offspring. Today we present Chapter 5, Book 62, entitled One Man's Family Celebrates its 15th Anniversary.
From 1932 to 1947. Goodness.
That's right, Mom. From Herbert Hoover to Harry Truman.
From Flapper to Bobby Soxer.
From WPA to OPA.
Yes, Cliff, I was just going to say, from the Great Depression, when there was plenty of everything and no money to buy it, to plenty of money and nothing to buy.
1932 to 47. From the period of the great American isolation through our greatest war to our present conviction that we are part of the world community.
15 full years, 15 historical years, 15 dramatic years. The end of Prohibition, the Great Depression, the rise and fall of Hitler and Mussolini, the rise and fall of gang warfare in the United States.
The rise and fall of women's skirts and their rise again.
Yes, 15 years is a good long span.
Why, just imagine it. There are young men and women walking the streets today who can't remember time when one man's family didn't exist.
I can hardly remember myself. Yes, and through all these years, one man's family has had one central theme, one main purpose for being, the American home, the American family. The paramount thought being that so long as the American family survived, these United States would remain safe and secure. Oh, yes. Throughout the years, one man's family has meant many things to many people. There was, for instance, the wife who wrote that her husband's last deathbed request was to hear the barbers, and afterwards closed his eyes and went to sleep. And the young man who was arrested in Chicago for purse snatching, only he said he didn't do it, that he was listening to one man's family at the time. And he told the judge the story of that week so completely that he was acquitted. And the convict in the South Carolina prison, who always heard the show because the barbers were the kind of family he had always meant to have. But somehow the penitentiary got him. And then there was the father in the Middle West, who gave his children their choice of listening to one man's family on Sunday or attending church. And best of all, many an American soldier who had been brought up on the family, who became a most ardent audience away from home, not only because it gave him a taste of the home life that he was missing, but because he knew his own family at home also was listening. Yes, the show has meant many things to many people, but always, somehow, some way, it has been tied close to the home and the family, and the good which they bring out in all of us.
Henry.
Yes, as I was saying...
Henry.
Yes? What is it, Fred?
Well, it's time for you to stop talking. Ken Carpenter has something to say.
Huh?
Ken Carpenter.
Oh, right, George. Now, yes. Well, as soon as you've heard Mr. Carpenter, you'll hear the principal portion of our 15th anniversary celebration. All right, Mr. Carpenter, move right along. No nonsense about it.
On the American table, the breadbasket or plate is one of the busiest, most popular dishes. Sweet rolls, cinnamon buns, coffee rings for breakfast, Parker House rolls, and so on for the other meals. All nutritious, all nourishing, all delicious. If you bake at home, use Fleischmann's yeast to give your rolls lightness, even texture, and especially delicious flavor. It's the amazing little powerhouse that brings the dough to life, adds flavor to all the other ingredients. Yes, Fleischmann's yeast has been America's dependable standby for the past 4 generations. Great-grandmother used Fleischmann's, and her baking was famous. And ever since then, year in, year out, Fleischmann's yeast has been the leader. So today, Fleischmann's familiar label is the symbol for top baking results. Results you can always be proud of. Ask for Fleischmann's yeast if you bake at home. Now I'm going to turn the show over to Paul.
Thank you.
As we said in the opening today, on the beginning of our 16th year, we are rededicating one man's family to the American home and the American family. For 15 years, this has been our principal theme, as we're going to demonstrate for you in a moment. But first, may I suggest that today, more than any time in your memory or mine, the need for the home and what the home stands for is most vital. That now, if ever, there is need for the moral strength, the unswerving integrity, the basic Christian ethics and tenets, which are the stuff the American home is made of. We hope to prove to you the urgent, crying need for a revitalized family life today. And now, to go far back into the pages of one man's family. This is what we said on April the 6th, 1934. Clifford, please.
In these United States, we pride ourselves that all men are born free and equal, that there is no royal family set apart from the rest of us. I think this is a mistake. I think there's a touch of royalty in every conservative, firmly established American home. I believe the children of these homes are born to the purple. They have behind them glory and honor and dignity and tradition. Just as surely as empires were molded by the will of kings, so this nation is molded by the will of the American family. And just as surely as empires crumbled under the touch of dissolute, degenerate monarchs, so this nation will fall away with the corruption of the American family.
So, a bit of something to think about.
You know, I can remember Dad saying that to us way back there, just as plain as though it was yesterday. 1934. Goodness, Cliff, you and I weren't dry behind the ears yet.
You couldn't have told us that then.
How true, how true.
Goodness, we were young.
You were young. What does that make me?
Bottle baby, no doubt.
Well, that's what we said in 34. And now, here is what we said in 1936. Mom, will you do the honors?
Already, Paul?
Here, Mom, put on your glasses.
Oh, goodness. Where's that copy you gave me, Paul?
Right in your hands, Mother.
Of course. Now, Paul.
Yes. This is what we said in 1936.
Marriage is the gateway through which a man or woman obtains personal experience in the field of human relations. Parenthood is the opportunity for putting that experience to practical use. Parents should not say, we shall have children because it is our God-given right, but rather we shall have children because we are able to give them intelligent, physical, mental, and moral training. Mother love may be beautiful, but mother love combined with intelligent discipline is the force which turns children into normal human beings and good citizens. Misdirected and misguided offspring results in one of civilization's most appalling wastes and expensive problems. For an undisciplined, unprincipled child grows into a useless citizen, another human life wasted, another burden for civilization to bear. Good citizens are necessary to civilization, but good parents are obligatory if civilization is to continue.
Exactly.
You still agree to that, huh, Dad?
More than ever.
Oh, yes. What a waste of time and effort and pain and worry to go to all the trouble of conceiving and bringing a child into the world only to abandon him to indolence, dishonor, and disreputable habits.
And yet I think I'm going to be able to bring you proof that this is exactly what a large portion of our parents are doing.
Oh, no, Paul.
Well, don't rush me. We'll get to that presently. Just now, Claudia, you're going to read us what we said about family life in June of 1937.
What Dad said.
Huh?
See if you remember saying this 10 years ago.
Ooh.
In this day, with gods of finance and the gods of power tumbling in a shower of unutterable chaos on every side, and with the very foundation of nations trembling on the brink, it is only natural that each of us should be looking for something firm, something staunch, something honest to which we can cling, something that neither fire nor flood, nor earthquake, nor avarice, nor greed, nor war, nor the rumor of war, can shake from its deep-rooted foundation. What is that something? In these United States, we have the American family. So long as the American family shall live, with its wholesomeness, with its ideals, and its basic principles of discipline and citizenship, we have little to fear. But once let the family life of America lose its own self-respect, and the fate descending on Germany and Italy will be a small catastrophe indeed compared to the bitterness, the affliction, and the desolation which shall encompass us. Therefore, when we bring you the saga of the Barber family, we do more than tell a story. We pay tribute to the American family way of living, and we hope, in some small extent, extol its virtue and unveil its weaknesses.
You remember saying that, Dan?
Huh? I don't remember, but I'll be very happy to take the credit for it.
He said it's all right. The sort of thing he was always preaching to you children.
With excellent results, I'd say.
Yes, I guess some of it soaked in.
Yes. There were times, however, when I felt as if I was pouring water on a duck's back.
Well, now we come to the year 1940.
The year before the war.
The year before we got into it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hazel, will you read us what we had to say about family life in 1940?
Yes, Paul. Mother Nature, who is an elemental old lady and interested only in fundamentals, requires of the human organism but three functions: to be born, to reproduce its kind, and to die. That is all any of us need to do to satisfy the laws of nature. But somewhere along the rugged pathway which represents the evolution of man, this superior creation of nature picked up a spark of fire, a spark burning so fierce and hot that with each advancing generation it has increased in its intensity. A spark so burning with promise, so glowing with hope, that it has driven the human race far beyond nature's elemental requirements of birth, reproduction, and death. It has made man stand straight and look toward heaven. It has made him think. It has stirred his imagination and given him glimpses of greatness and genius. It has made him consider his kind, cultivate humanity, understand the value of beauty and love and goodness. And greatest of all, it gave him the power of conceiving and creating the family home as we know it today, the greatest, the most important of all man's creations, that is, the home.
I say that's an excellent thought.
Man's greatest achievement, the home. That's okay.
I want you to notice the difference between what Hazel just read out of 1940 and what I'm going to ask Nicky to read out of 1941. There's a sort of calmness and sense of security in Hazel's words. Now listen to what Nicky reads just a year later. Please, Nicky.
Right on. Today, the American family as a unit of society is more precious, more deserving of care and cultivation, and at the same time in more danger than at any other period in our national history. For we can promise you that out of the welter of strife and disorder in which the world is now engaged is coming great change. Practically nothing will be the same. We have seen one government after another submerged. We have seen peace-loving people forced to pull the plow out of the furrow and beat it into an implement of war. Right here in these Americas, we have seen, in a few months, weakling airplane factories blossom into a gigantic major industry. Shipyards which haven't turned out a vessel in years suddenly bursting into life and energy. We've seen our men in uniform again, marching up and down. We've made Iceland an outpost, and our South American neighbors have suddenly become nearer and dearer. And in the plethora of jobs, the WPA has become one of the dodo birds of the past. And wages have gone up, and prices have gone up, and everywhere there is change, change, change. The government is modified to meet these times. Our banking system is modified, and our tax laws are modified. And our institutions of learning are modifying their views. And every other institution, by reason of necessity or convenience or circumstance, is modifying its activities. Even the minds of men are thinking new thoughts, uncertain thoughts, worried thoughts, but still new thoughts. The businessman, the laboring man, the farmer, the industrialist, the politician, all are sitting in the anxious seat of change and uncertainty. And there is only one place where the American man may go for refuge, for comfort, for security: the bosom of his family, the American family. Nations may fall, institutions be dissolved, great men be brought to their knees. But so long as the American father can close the door of his home against the world, so long as the American mother can gather her children about her to love them and teach them, so long as the American child can have the granite solid foundation of the home to cling to, family love to warm the heart, and family continuity to give him a belief in and a hope for the future, all is not lost. In a word, so long as the American home exists, America itself exists. But beware, the American family is not modified with the changing of other institutions. There is the danger. It must be warmed and watched and nurtured as never before, lest it slip through our fingers and is gone, as many other things are being lost to us in these restless, urgent days.
Beautifully done, Nicholas. Oh, yes.
But did you notice the urgency, the sense of a need for preserving something important?
Yes. What I read had a feeling that we possessed something precious. What Nicky read hinted at a dread of losing it.
Yes, there was undoubtedly a great transition in American living from the early part of 1940 to the end of 1941.
Oh, there was indeed.
And now we come to 1947.
Oh, we're jumping the war years completely?
Yes, we're doing that deliberately. What we feared, what we dreaded might happen in 1941 is becoming a reality in 1947. Hazel, will you read this letter which we received a few weeks ago? When you've read it, I'll explain further.
Miss Paul. Office of the Director, Federal Bureau of Investigation, United States Department of Justice, Washington, D.C., March 29, 1947. Dear Mr. Barber, on Sunday afternoon, March 23rd, I listened to One Man's Family, as is my custom on Sunday, whenever it is possible to sit down with a radio. I did want to drop this personal note to tell you how deeply I appreciate the splendid manner in which you developed the necessity of building up the home and the need for emphasizing constructive family life. I thought the program was particularly well done. The need is so great that this point cannot be stressed too frequently, and possibly by constant emphasis an impression can be made. With best wishes and kind regards, sincerely yours, J. Edgar Hoover.
Hey, a pat on the head right from the top.
Golly.
But that's not the point. The important thing is that even our leaders in Washington are worried about the American family and the carelessness and laxity of today's parents. And just to emphasize Mr. Hoover's point and to demonstrate what One Man's Family is still emphasizing after 15 years, I want to repeat what was said by Jack and Dad on the show of March 23rd. Go ahead, Jack.
Dad, you've had more than 50 years now of being a family man.
Yes.
What do you think of it?
Huh?
Would you devote yourself to a wife and home and family if you had it all to do over?
What a question.
You would?
Certainly, with all my heart.
You really honestly feel that the end achieved is worth all the years of trouble and effort it takes?
I do.
Well, there are a lot of people in the United States who don't think like that.
Well, you mark my word, Jack. If American home and family life fall into disrepute, then the people of this nation are going to feel real tragedy. Because if we lose our ideals and our humanity and our godliness and our love of justice, which are the virtues taught in the home, if we lose all these, then we're a nation without a heart. We're a ship without a rudder. And just as surely as you and I are standing here, we'll drift into the chaos that has fallen upon the rest of the world. We'll be a people at the mercy of tyrants. In one generation, we'll be an ignorant, drifting, helpless people. A nation at cross purposes. A lost nation, ready to be swallowed up by the first outside power to come along.
Dad, you really feel the American home and family is that important?
The American home is the backbone of this nation. The American family is the lifeblood of American democracy, the seed of our way of life. If we let that seed die, if we kill the divine spark, then we've killed America.
Well, when you come to think of it, that's one of the first things Hitler did in Germany. Broke up families, made a mockery of marriage and home ties, put a prize on license and illegitimacy.
Yes, I'll never believe that the great body of America will give way to any such business.
And I quite agree with you, Henry. We'll never fall to such a level.
Of course not.
Naturally.
Are you all so sure about that?
Hey, of course.
Huh? What are you driving at, Paul?
Well, now we come to the climax of this whole business. In the March 24th issue of Life magazine, there was an editorial headed The Family. I'm going to read you a portion of that editorial, and if when I'm finished, you still feel so smug and secure in where we're headed, I'll be interested in hearing you say so.
In heaven's name, Paul, read it. What is it?
It begins this way. There is strong evidence that the institution of the family, not only in the United States, but throughout Western civilization, is at a crisis. Some people are more alarmed about it than others, but certain statistics are painful indeed. For instance, 1 out of 3 American marriages now ends in divorce. John Haynes Holmes on a recent radio broadcast said,
"What's wrong with marriage, you ask? Our society is sick. Our social order is going to pieces."
And a few days before that, Dr. Carl Zimmerman, Harvard sociologist, told the American Social Hygiene Association,
Evidence indicates that our middle-class family system has reached its maximum demoralization, or will very soon. If left alone, the family system will break up before the end of the century.
the family is not a biological necessity. Primitive man thought that birth was a matter of the seasons, and it was not until he became better informed that he assumed responsibility toward his offspring. Once he did so, the family became the basis of human society. And the metabolism of the family has measured the health of Western civilization ever since it began some 3,000 years ago. Professor Zimmerman points out that
the Western family has collapsed twice before. In Greece about 300 B.C. and in Rome about 300 A.D. In each case marking the decline of those states. Both times the manifestations were the same. 1, almost universal corruption and disregard of the marriage agreement. 2, vanishing birth rate. 3, denigration of parents. 4, juvenile and adult delinquency.
it remained for our own epoch to give the family its first legal kicks in the teeth when in France in 1791 and Russia in 1917, the familial legal system was temporarily overthrown by revolutionary governments. Nevertheless, the body of Western common law strongly supports the institution of the family. In the frequently cited language of Justice Birdseye of the New York State Supreme Court of 1857,
the family is the origin of all society and of all government. The whole frame of government and laws has been said to exist only to protect and support the family.
The bad news. Most social scientists are agreed that the family, particularly the American family, needs all the support and protection it can get right now. Some of them point out that our family system is undergoing the Greco-Roman style of dissolution in all its 4 tragic phases. 1, we are witnessing an intercontinental divorce spree, and the all-round champion is the United States, where about 1 urban marriage in 2 goes on the rocks, thus approximating the record hung up by the Bolshevik free lovers prior to Russia's familial reformation of 1936. And nobody knows how many American upper-middle-class families are precariously held together because the partners feel that the Internal Revenue Bureau doesn't leave them enough money to support separate establishments. The morality of this situation is no less extraordinary than the statistics. As Dr. Holmes has truly said,
when a woman takes a 4th husband who is finding in her a 5th wife, they have no more to do with marriage than prostitution has to do with chastity.
2, the sociologists draw another parallel between the classical and the current family crisis in the international sit-down strike against motherhood, which has been accelerating since the Industrial Revolution. Here again, the United States is well up front. 44% of our families have no children at all, and 22% have only 1. At this rate, the United States will begin losing population by 1980. 3, sociologists Austin L. Porterfield and H. Ellenson Sally find the old sex morals so broken among all ages and classes that
it is becoming increasingly difficult to define sex delinquency, and perhaps meaningless to try to do so, except in certain types of behavior involving cruelty and exploitation.
4, if parents are showing less respect for children, children in the classic mode are showing less for parents and everybody else. J. Edgar Hoover's number 1 job is protecting our atomic secrets. Number 2 is curbing juvenile crime. The recent batch of laws requiring premarital health inspection and cooling off periods prior to marriage licensing are nothing more than a recognition by the state of the decline of parental control. Why? As social scientists see it, the chief enemies of the Western family are the selfishness and brutality of our age. They see these qualities arising in part from our family degeneration and then returning to further the family's destruction. To some sociologists, incidentally, the wholesome family means a permanent pair of parents and at least 3 children. As an institution, of course, the family needs no defense. It is the traditional seat of humanitarianism in the human race, the center of all important informal child education and personality development. The wealth of nations does not consist in natural resources, but in the character of the people. No one can seriously deny that the family is the basic cell responsible for the production of those people and that character. Every remedy proposed for rescuing the family today was grasped at in one way or another by the Augustine Caesars in their attempt to restore the Roman family in the last 2 centuries of the empire. They may work now. They didn't work then. But if the sociologists offer us dubious hope, we can look elsewhere. The problem is moral as well as social. And what we have that the Greeks and Romans didn't have is a universal moral code, the most important of whose codicils is the definition of right and wrong, familial, no less than personal. The strongest foundation of Christian society and the Christian family is a Christian conscience and a Christian heart.
Huh? Why, if that's all we've got left, then it's time we all got down on our knees and prayed.
Sure, yes.
Is it any wonder that we've made the home and the family our theme for 15 years?
And we'd better continue to do so now and so long as we're able.
We are dedicated and rededicated to it, world without end. Amen.
Jack's favorite room in the house has always been the kitchen, especially when one of his sisters is cooking.
I won't be in the way, will I?
Not at all. You can put the groceries away.
Okay, on condition that I can talk as I do it.
I'd like to see anybody stop you.
Fleischmann's yeast goes in the refrigerator. Wonderful stuff, Fleischmann's yeast. I bet you'd be mighty proud of me if I thought up something like that kept on doing good in the world for 79 years.
I certainly would.
79 years.
And tops all the time.
That's what I mean. America's favorite yeast through 4 generations.
Just think of all the rolls and bread it's baked in that time.
Someday I'm going to figure out how many times they'd go around the moon. I suppose a roll is 4 inches long. How many inches around the moon?
Maybe you'd better figure something on Earth, Jack.
Okay. Figure all the people who've enjoyed those rolls and things made with Fleischmann's yeast. Why, standing shoulder to shoulder, they would cover continental United States. And Alaska, maybe.
And then some.
Boy, it's a lot of happiness all in one piece. And all from these yeast cakes.
Well, put them in the refrigerator. They're getting warm in your hand.
Let's see, 79 years times 3.
Yes, Fleischmann's yeast is first choice today, just as it has been for the past 4 generations. If you bake at home, make sure of the flavor that calls for more. Get Fleischmann's yeast. It's the amazing little powerhouse that brings the dough to life. It raises the dough, makes it light and airy, gives you even texture and delicious flavor. So follow great-grandmother's example. Look for the famous familiar label. Ask your grocer for Fleischmann's yeast if you bake at home. You've just heard Chapter 5, Book 62 of One Man's Family, written and produced under the direction of Carlton E. Morse for the makers of Fleischmann's yeast and Royal Puddings. Chapter 6, entitled This Business of Nicolette Moore, will come to you next week at this same hour. You're worried because food bills seem to be getting higher and higher? Well, then make a note of this. Royal puddings still cost only a few pennies a serving. And what a grand dessert they are. Royal puddings taste more delicious, say 8 out of every 10. Yes, when 1,052 Royal users told why they switched to Royal from other popular brands, Royal puddings taste more delicious, said 8 out of every 10. You'll surely agree when you try Royal butterscotch pudding. You'll marvel that a dessert so rich and flavorful, so downright delicious, actually costs only a few pennies a serving. Royal puddings are so easy to make, too. Take no sugar. So no wonder women buy more Royal puddings than any other kind. Be smart. Serve Royal puddings several times a week. You have 3 tempting flavors to choose from. And remember, they cost only a few pennies a serving. One Man's Family comes to you from California.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. My stories start in many different ways. This one began with a man who was blind and ended when he saw his blindness went deeper than his eyes.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
It was after 11 when I turned into that section of North Clark that begins to wake up then. Tonight it was jumping no more than usual. It just seemed that way. I threaded my way through the visiting playboys from Keokuk and St. Louis and the whining panhandlers and the sad-eyed gals. Then I stopped for a minute to watch old Pop. There he stood as I'd seen him stand night after night before the little burlesque theater, sawing away at the same old tune and the same old battered fiddle. I walked up to him, listened for a moment, and then...
Thank you.
Business good tonight, Pop?
Randy.
Uh-huh. You never missed, do you?
Not my regulars. How have you been?
Oh, good. You?
All right.
Business good?
Lousy.
Well, still early. Midnight shows ought to bring in some tariff.
Uh-huh. What's it look like tonight, Randy?
Well, I don't have to tell you, Pop. I think you can see more than I can.
Yeah, that's the trouble with being blind. It's not what you miss without eyes, but what you do see. I can feel them, Randy. The cheap sports. The ones who drop a penny in my cup. Drop it in from way up because it sounds heavier when it hits. Big shots. The ones who drop $50 when they're with a girl and pass me up when they're alone.
Where do I fit in, Pop?
You never change. Always a quarter. Night you drop in something else, I'll know something's wrong.
No show's breaking. Here come the girls.
Dancers, they call themselves. Dancers. Cheap, shoddy.
Careful, Pop.
Well, if it ain't Horace Greasy.
Greeley. It's Horace Greeley. How are you, Pearl?
Feet are killing me.
From what? Standing in one spot?
So I should move around? Here.
Thank you.
For nothing. Ain't seen you in a month of Sundays, Randy.
Now, you have to wait your turn.
See the show?
No, should I have?
Nah, new one's moving in tomorrow. Bigger and better.
And bearer.
When I'm paid to wear more, I'll know I'm washed up.
How's it going?
Same old grind. Ha, get it?
Every night the same lousy joke.
So what? Every night you play the same lousy tune.
Oh, who asked for hyper?
A long time ago, I played better.
Yeah, I played fiddle for the Tsar, so comes the revolution. Honest, Pop, you know anything else?
Who'd recognize it around here if I did?
So where's your hi-hat?
Oh, shut up.
Now, listen.
Well, let's dance.
Hey, wait a minute. Who you calling a
You, all of
Hey,
you.
Pop, now, Pop, take it easy. What's the matter with you?
Now, let me alone. Just let me alone, that's all.
Hey, wait a sec. Well, what's eating on him?
He blew up like a boiler.
Yeah. He ain't never done that before. And calling me a cheap dancer. Who does he think he is? Plays for nickels and stops himself in cheap wine when he's got the price. Hey, Randy.
What?
No wonder. He was sober.
Yeah, I saw that, too.
First time I ever seen him come out from under that cloud. He's sick.
Well, maybe there's something else for him.
Nah, he'll take his nickels and dimes, buy a bottle, and soak in it. Believe me, there's nothing wrong with Pop that a wet cork won't cure.
I don't know. There was something else.
Honest, give me the willies.
Okay, Pearl, I'll throw in a cup of coffee. Come on. So we had coffee and we talked about Pop. No one knew where he'd come from. He just showed up one night with a battered fiddle under his arm and started playing. It was a half hour or so after I left Pearl. I moseyed through the street, found myself back at the same place I started, but Pop wasn't there. I told myself he was well in the middle of the pickling process. Nothing to get excited about. He'd show up tomorrow night. But that ever-loving curiosity rang up a tilt inside me. I went hunting. I didn't find Pop. And when I passed an all-night hock shop, something in the window sent me inside.
Yes, sir. You see something you like?
Yeah, that violin in the window.
The violin? Oh, sure. You want to see it?
Yes, I'd like to.
Sure. It ain't often I get a piece like this. No, sir. It ain't often I get a chance to offer something like this. Horowitz himself couldn't want one any better.
Yeah, I'll tell him when he gives up the piano.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Where'd you get this?
From a collection. It's a fine old violin, maybe 100 years. A few scratches.
How much did you give him for it?
Give who?
The blind man who brought it in.
Yeah, how come you know where I got it? Huh? How come?
I'd know this violin in 100. Now, come on. How much do you want for it?
$20.
15.
I paid that.
Okay, 20. Give me the receipt.
Just take it. Give me the money and take it.
The receipt, Buster. I need it for my expense account.
You a copper?
Why ask that?
If he ain't, why are you asking all the questions? Why?
What's bothering you? If you got this violin legitimately, you'll sell it without all this ping-pong.
I got it legitimately.
Okay, then. The receipt. Neither of us is getting any younger.
Well, yeah, I ain't got a receipt.
Oh? Why not?
Look, the guy comes in. He wants to hock this fiddle. I can't give him no dough on it, not like he wants anyway.
So?
We make a deal of swap.
For what?
I'm only telling you this because I don't want no trouble. But he wants a rod, a heater.
You let him have a gun?
Yeah, but...
Was it loaded?
Maybe a couple of shells in it, but...
Got anything on paper? His address, maybe?
No.
But you let him have a gun?
He was blind. I ain't going to give anybody a rod if they look like they're going out for a heist. I got a legitimate business. What could a blind guy do with a gun?
Figure it out.
Look, I'm trying to tell you that I'm clean. I tell you I'm clean.
I had no idea where to look for Pop, but I thought maybe one person might know. Pearl. I found her backstage just about ready for our last turn.
You like it, boys? Hey, Randy, grab yourself a fan and cut in any place.
Pearl, this has got to be quick. You know where Pop lives?
Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong?
He traded his violin for a gun.
What for?
I'd like to know. Now, come on. You got any idea where he lives?
No. But I walked a couple of blocks with him one night. He was too stiff to do it alone.
Yeah?
Then he turned off in some street. I didn't go no further. Feet was killing me.
Which street?
I never look at street signs. There was a candy store on the corner.
So you know the street?
I guess so.
All right, then let's go.
But my aunt...
Forget it for now. Pop's liable to do something with that gun.
Okay, I'll fix it. Don't make no difference anyhow. New show opening tomorrow. Hey, Gracie! Gracie!
Yeah?
Come here.
Sure.
Oh, pleased to meet you. You ain't. And you ain't gonna. Now, listen, you gotta go on in my place.
Me?
Me? You've been yammering how good you are. Now's your chance, honey.
I don't know nothing.
It ain't education they want out there. Here, take my balloon. Blow it up a little bigger. You need it.
Oh, but I can't.
All you gotta do is be careful of the guy in the first box. He's got a rubber band and some bent pins. Let's go, Randy.
We tore out of the theater before she had much more than just time to throw on a coat. I'll say this for Pearl. She didn't catch cold easily, but if there was a wind blowing, she'd have been a sensation. Anyway, she found the street and a few questions and answers sent us to what is politely known as a theatrical boarding house. And then outside Pop's door...
Bust it in, Randy.
Pop! Hey, Pop, it's Randy. Open up.
Bust it in.
Okay, look out.
Wait. Pop.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right. What do you want?
Well, we're coming in, Pop.
No.
We're coming in.
Yo, Sponge, what's the idea of throwing a scare in
Wait a
there?
minute, take it easy, Pearl. All right, let's have the gun, Pop.
There it is, Randy.
Give it to me.
You look better in a fiddle.
Crying Jack, that's what it is, a crying Jack.
No, he's sober.
And for this, I let Gracie do my act. I'm ruined.
Get out of here, both of you. Leave me alone.
Just a minute.
Randy, don't point that.
You couldn't fire this in a million years. The firing pin's filed off.
He cheated me.
No wonder he let you have it. Okay, Pop, what's the idea?
I thought I could kill myself.
Okay, you thought you could kill yourself. Why?
I wanted to stop living this way. I wanted to stop lying to myself.
So all of a sudden you don't like the way you've been living?
Shut up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Pop, you want to talk about it?
Well, he already did. He already said
No. That's not the whole story.
You know, don't you, Randy?
I know there's something else. What is it?
Yes, there is. There's 9 years of lies and cheating. 9 years of running away from something I want to face but can't. Tonight, I want to stop it.
Stop what?
Stop the whole thing from coming down. Coming down and killing me. And her.
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Little-known episodes from the exciting annals of American history are presented in colorful, dramatic, factual manner on the Cavalcade of America, which returns over most of these NBC stations on Tuesday, August 29th. The stories presented on Cavalcade of America feature Hollywood and Broadway stars who portray the many men and women responsible for the building of our country. That's Cavalcade of America, returning Tuesday, August 29th. And now, back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
For a moment after Pop said that, he stared into space. His sightless eyes seemed to be seeing something neither Pearl nor I could sense. And then...
Over on the dresser, Randy. Picture, face down. Get it?
Okay. You mean this one of a girl?
Yes, bring it here.
Gee, nice.
Here, Pop.
I haven't seen it in 5 years. Since my eyes.
She's a beautiful girl, Pop.
That's Vicky, my daughter.
This classy-looking dame?
Yes.
You know, I've seen her someplace.
She's famous.
What about it, Pop?
I'm a great old man for a kid like that. Busted, broken down, blind, playing for nickels and dimes.
Look, if she's the right kind, what difference does it make what you did?
I lied to her. For 9 years, I've lied.
Well, what about? And when did it start?
Well, when she was a kid. I was playing in the vaudeville house. She was going to school. That and learning to dance.
And her mother?
Left. Ran out. But I didn't care. I had Vicky. On days when I didn't have to be at the theater, we had big dreams. Great big dreams. I'd play for her. She'd dance. You're not allowed to get tired. Now, come on. Once more. Just right, Vicky.
That's enough, Dad.
Okay, lazy. Come here. What's the matter, honey?
Nothing.
Now, come on. Let's have it.
I can't dance as good as the rest of the kids.
Who said so?
Me?
What's your teacher say?
Nothing.
What do you want her to do? Hang flowers on you? Now, listen. Listen. What do we always say?
We'll go all over the world together.
That's right. And you'll be the greatest ballerina in the world. I'll lead the orchestra for Vicky. France, Italy, England. Great big oysters full of pearls. You wouldn't let me down now, would you, honey?
I don't want to.
Besides, we've always got each other, Vicky. No matter what happens, we've always got each other.
I don't ever want to leave you.
You won't, honey. Never. Now, come on. Let's try it again. Better. Yeah, she got where I said she would, Randy. Famous.
But you, what happened between the two of you?
Things got bad. I had to take a job with a cheap band. Traveled. I kept her in school, and then...
Go on, Pop. Then?
I hit a grease toboggan.
Bottoms up, huh?
Yeah. In my eyes. But I kept writing to her, telling her I was doing all right. I sent her money, all I could. I lied to her. Told her I was playing with a big orchestra. 1,000 times I tried to pull myself together. I didn't.
Where is she now?
Coming here. To Chicago.
How do you know that?
Randy, on the table there, a copy of the billboard. Get it? Turn to the personals.
Mm-hmm.
I get it every week. No matter where we were, we'd keep in touch that way. I pretended to keep moving around. I mailed in fake addresses so she wouldn't know.
What's in this one, Pop?
I always had somebody read the column to me, and this morning, you'll see it, Randy.
Oh? Dad from Vicky. That it, Pop?
Yes.
Dad from Vicky. We'll be in Chicago the 8th. Please meet me Washington Boulevard and State under the clock at 10 in the morning. Please be there.
But I can't.
How did she know you were here?
It was my last address. She just put it in, hoping.
Well, look, what's so tough? Just meet her. Like I said, if she's any good at all, she won't care what
No, I won't.
Pop, you've been running away for 9 years. You can't keep on doing it.
Let her see me? No, don't you see, Randy? She's famous. She's Mivanya.
Wow, she is famous.
And it's still 10 to 1. She's got legs like a piano.
Oh, come on, hold it, Prue. The ballet's here in Chicago, huh?
Yes, I heard that their first American tour in 10 years. Randy, I want to meet her. Talk with her. Touch her face again, but I can't. Not now.
Pop, you're going to meet her tomorrow.
No.
She'll be here for only 3 days. During that time, you'll be what she thinks you are. She doesn't have to find out anything else.
I never told her I was blind.
Well, is that a crime?
Oh, Randy.
Pop, you're going to be under the clock tomorrow morning at 10. It was easy to say, just like that. But I wondered what would happen. Playing with other people's lives is like splitting an atom and including yourself in the chain reaction. But I wanted Pop to meet Vicky. I stayed with him that night, got him into a clean press suit, made him shave and stay out of striking distance of anything that looked like a bottle. And then it was 10 in the morning.
That's 10, Randy. That's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Give her time, Pop.
Let's go, Randy, before it's too late. Let's go. Take me away from here.
You look all right. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
She's bound to find out.
Not from me or you.
She'll want to know what I've been doing, where I've been. Randy, I've told so many lies.
I'll have a few more on me.
Do you see her?
Not yet.
I hope she doesn't come. I hope she does.
She will.
What'll I say? Randy, tell me what to say.
You'll know, Pop. Nobody will have to tell you. Now stand still. Take it easy.
Help me. Help me tell one more lie.
He didn't have to tell one more. Vicky didn't show up. Not at 10, not at 10:30, or not at 12 when we finally left the corner. I didn't want to leave Pop alone, so I took him to my apartment. I left him there in the lobby with the clerk keeping an eye on him while I went calling. Calling on a lady named Vanya. My press card works magic, especially backstage. I got in to see him, Vanya, all right.
It is so charming, Monsieur Stone.
Yes, of course, charming. I expected to meet you earlier.
Oh, so? I'm glad you did not. I'm afraid I do not look my best before noon or later.
Maybe that's why you didn't show up.
Pardon? Show up?
Hello, Vicky.
You called me what?
Just Vicky, for the present. I may think of something else later.
I do not understand.
Look, baby, I got a hunch you were there this morning. You saw him and decided not to stop. Is that it?
Well, if this is a joke, Monsieur Stone, I do not appreciate it.
Oh, please, let's stop the polite tennis.
But you're insane. How it is tennis?
He was blind. You saw that. He wasn't what you expected after all these years. Or maybe, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, maybe you didn't recognize him.
You will please to excuse me one moment. Igor, please come here. You would like maybe a drink?
No, thank you. Look, Vicky, you can drop the Iron Curtain disguise. You see,
Oh, Igor, please come in.
A pleasure.
Igor, this man is crazy. He says he's from a newspaper.
Oh, that is very nice.
And who are you?
I am the ballet master. What else?
We'll leave that unanswered for the time. To get back to you, Vicky.
He calls me Vicky.
Huh? Why?
Well, that's her name. Now, look, don't give me any more of this now.
Yes?
Well, you're a brunette.
A little gray, perhaps, but understand.
Wait a minute. Let me get a closer look.
Igor, here, my boy.
I will go for help.
No, never mind. You're not Vicky, are you?
Please, monsieur, I am Mivanya.
Ludmila Mivanya Krochenko.
One of those is enough. Okay, I'm sorry. It's all a mistake. I thought you were someone else.
But that is impossible.
I know. I apologize again. I made a very bad mistake. Please forgive me.
Oh, it is nothing. Please do come again.
Sure. Invite some fawns over. We'll spend another afternoon. She wasn't Vicky, but she was Mivanya. I felt a little like the guy who opened the wrong door in a Turkish bath. I hurried back to Pop, took him up to my apartment, sat him down, and told him what had happened.
I'm not lying, Randy. I'm not.
I saw Vicky's picture. I saw Mivanya. At first, a guy could make a mistake, but not with a good second look.
Randy, I swear to you.
Come on, Pop. Give it to me straight. What's the deal?
Why should I make up such a story?
That's what I'd like to know. Brother, I bid. Hook, line, and sinker. I took the bait. Why'd you throw it?
For the last time, Randy, I didn't lie to you.
A gun with no firing pin, a fine, long story about a daughter. Great build-up.
I'm going, Randy.
Okay, Pop, go ahead.
You still think I...
Excuse me, won't you? Yeah. Pearl. Oh, sure, we were there. We had a... What's that? Oh, now, look, honey, if you... Give me that again. Now, hold on a minute. Pop!
What?
Pop!
What?
Sit down, wait a minute.
I'm going.
You're going to sit down and you're going to wait. Now, come on.
Oh, what's the matter, Randy? Is that...
No. Okay, Pearl, give me the rest. Yeah? What's the address? I got it. Now, look. I'm going to bring Pop to you. Hold on to him like a mink coat. Don't let him out of your sight, and then I'm going to go to that address.
Yes?
How do you do? My name is Stone, Randy Stone, Chicago Star. Here's my press card, Social Security.
What do you want?
May I come in?
What?
Thank you.
Hey, you've got a nerve.
Yeah, today I've got to have. May I sit down?
And if I say no?
Well, I'll have to stand. I can say what I want standing up.
All right, what do you want?
I want to know why you weren't under the clock at 10 this morning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dad, from Vicky in Chicago the 8th. Please meet me.
Where'd you find that out?
Billboard magazine, personal column.
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I do. And so does your dad.
Where is he? How is he?
Well, first tell me why you didn't show up this morning.
Is he all right?
I guess so.
You guess. Don't you know? Answer me.
Vicky, you are Vicky, aren't you?
Yes, what about Dad?
You want to see him, don't you?
More than anything else in the world.
I thought so. Now, how about tonight?
Tonight?